Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! All right! Episode 254 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Ross from ROQ in Florida! Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan. I'm the owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest host today was my buddy Lee Stewart of ROQ Lab in Canada. You probably know who he is. You've seen him online. He's got a great screen printing YouTube channel. Real fun guy. We both like to talk shit and just say whatever we want. So he was really fun to have on here. We got the opportunity to talk with Ross Hunter of ROQ. I've been wanting to have him on for a long time. Obviously, he's one of the big players in the industry. If you go green, then you know who ROQ is. We hit the ground running in this episode where we were talking about automations with DTF. We also talked a lot about software and SOPs and what that means for us in the shop, or as from coming from a manufacturer to us printers. I think that was kind of the big key thing there. We talked a lot about how mergers are happening and partnerships in this industry and what it means for us if we should expand our shop or look out into our networks and send stuff that way. How you should always be working towards lean manufacturing and just efficiencies in your shop in general. Maybe you don't need equipment. Maybe you just need to look inward and see what things you can do to improve your shop as is. We also talked a little bit about what Lee's life's going to look like in the future with him and his Lamborghini. We'll touch on that near the end. As always, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you could like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go on Instagram or Facebook or whatever and share in your stories as to where you are, what you're doing when you're listening to this episode. It truly means a lot to me. It's me who's responding to you. So if you have any questions or, critiques or anything you want to see on the show or, just what you want to hear from us, let me know. I'm definitely interested to hear what you have to say. This show would not be at all possible without our partners. It all starts with a screen. It's called screen printing for a reason. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. Stop wasting your precious press time and get the right tool for the job. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, greatfuckingscreens.com, or ffffrank.com. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay is the easiest way. Graphics is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check out graphxsource.com or just get a hold of Nick, one of the best humans in the world. SNS Activewear and Alpha Broder are integrating to become your premier partner for the apparel industry. With one website, one purchase order, 14 distribution centers, and over 100 beloved brands, you can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. That's a no-brainer. Don't forget they have combined net term limits to benefit your business like never before. Be sure to order your blanks from ssactivewear.com. The weathered hues of Comfort Colors are inspired by nature, so it makes sense that their dye process would be made with respect for it too. The Pigment Pure process produces earth-friendly colors by using a third less water, taking 40% less process time, consuming less energy, and requiring zero salt. The 1717 is my favorite shirt of all time. Speaking of favorite shirts, new 1717s with Shirt Show metal logo on it. It's going to be on the store soon, so keep an eye out for this bad boy. For over 90 years, Stahls has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate in our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to get taught a thing or two. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you all. I love you. If you need anything at all, hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Yo.
What's up, beautiful?
Oh, no, not too much.
See, why? You're an asshole. I'm just going to say it. I want to say this for all industry people who are trying to do something with their lives or be on the internet or have a YouTube channel or have a podcast or whatever. I just want to say fuck you, Lee, for making us all have to up our game with camera. Like I could show you my setup right now. It's all because I feel like I have to. Like the old days are gone of just like holding up a shitty camera and filming because we all have to live up to these standards that are set by
my standards, man.
The fucking like Canada guy.
It's like that Captain Phillips meme or whatever. It's like my show now.
I am the captain now.
No, we're fully equipped here, man. I got multi-camera view. I got a soundboard. I got sound effects. Check this out. Check that out.
That better be used a few times.
So
yeah, no, man. But seriously, it's funny. Hey, I'm glad you're here. It's funny too. Like seriously, like we've done this show, and there's certain things like I've reached out to you about of like, oh, what should I get? Should I do this? Whatever. And the nice thing is like, I mean, I feel like the video quality for me has been really good recently. I mean, I'm using my phone camera. But Chad made me get some lens thing for it to like help with the glare on my glasses or the glare on other things. And
oh, nice, like a polarizer.
Yeah. And I got like, my mic set up and like all this other stuff. And I just want to say a lot of that is because you're an asshole. So
it's good. Forcing people to step it up.
Yeah. Well, you look good. I'm glad you're here. We haven't talked in a little while. I mean, the last time, we talk here and there, but like on the show, I don't remember where you were at with things. You were kind of, I feel like, just getting settled with all your new stuff. Like you were up and running and going, and
yeah,
now it's a new beast again. You're hiring people, you have video people, you have embroidery people.
It's crazy how much my team has expanded over the past year or so. It's nuts. Yeah. Like we're up to like 7 people now. And
that's awesome.
And there's no end in sight currently. Like right now, we just hired a new guy yesterday. Probably going to bring on another person soon to handle like social media management and like content creation, things like that. Cause I'm just getting stretched too thin. We got fulfillment now we're starting into. I haven't made an announcement. We'll make the announcement on shirts. We got a shirt show exclusive here. I just bought a piece of property yesterday, a commercial piece of property. So we're going to be putting up a new building very soon. Like a big boy business building. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, they're moving. That's for sure. We got a DTF business launching here in a couple of weeks, and all kinds of stuff happening. It's nonstop.
I really want to get into that, but we can do that in a few. Why the big boy business? I mean, I feel like you just finished improvements on your current backyard location.
Man, I outgrew this space in the first 3 months I was here. Basically, it was weird. And I've told this to some of my coaching clients too, because somebody told it to me, I forget who it was exactly, but they're like, once you get out of the basement and off manual press, you get an auto, you get a couple more pieces of equipment. And they're like, it's like a magic switch that business just finds you sometimes. Like your business just grows automatically because you have a different perspective. The clients are looking at you from now.
Yeah.
And fuck, were they ever right, man? It was just immediate light switch. Like we just started gaining more and more momentum. And as we got more equipment and became more established, and like we started implementing lean and having a cooler shop and, really nice organized flows, it's like word spread about that so fast, and it's nuts. So we can't survive here any longer. We should have moved a while back. And it's just, again, I'm sitting on it, playing my cards right. I'm not going to lease a building or whatever. I want to own my shit. And so I waited it out until we can do that. And now we can. And we got a pretty big building in sight. It's about 6 or 7 times. Is it just the property,
or is there a building already there?
It's a brand new piece of property. It's bare right now. It's a new development going up, a new commercial development that's going to be basically just like restricted to manufacturing and some other stuff like that. So no trucking companies and shit coming on and out of there ruining the place. And it's going to be a super nice high-end business park. And so I bought 1.5 acres in there. And we're going to put a pretty sizable building, about like 7 times the size that I have now.
Hell yeah.
So, and we got to, we're adding offices and things like that. I got to start thinking about hiring like a sales team and things like that. And, dude, it's a lot. Dude.
Did you see that thing the other day? Oh, fuck, what was it? I'm going to mess it up now. I can't remember. Was it Shopify where like the CEO or something said that if we can't, like we will not hire anybody unless we've exhausted all resources to see if AI could do the job first?
It's crazy. And like they don't have customer service anymore at all. It's all AI.
Yeah.
It's like nearly impossible to talk to a human being at Shopify now, which is the most annoying shit in the world.
Well, there was that thing not that long ago. I can't remember the name. I just keep saying I can't remember shit, but I'm gonna like half put together stories. But it was like the Chat GPT thing now, where they passed that threshold of you not being able to tell if you're talking to a robot or a human being. You know,
It's
like
interesting.
it's that good. So I'm wondering if the customer service is just AI, but you're like, oh, I talked to Susan for like an hour and she helped me out, and it's great. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, Susan was a fucking robot.
Yeah, them and like ShipStation and like some of the platforms that we use every single day here, I've noticed are all AI chatbots now. Basically, it's nearly impossible to get through to a human. You have to go through like 10 layers of shit to maybe talk to somebody.
That's crazy.
Which is
there was talks a little while ago at one of the conventions I went to, like a seminar, and it was saying that basically you can train AI at some point, which I'm guessing is basically now, to answer the phone and quote a customer and basically do everything they need to kind of add on a sales rep or add on a customer service person. And it's kind of like, not that I'm not advocating like don't hire human beings, but you know, that's number one issue for most small shops is adding somebody and being like, fuck, now I have payroll and insurance and all this
exactly.
other stuff. Like,
yeah, that's one thing that's crossed my mind over the past little while, because like I've just noticed my payroll get substantially more expensive over time. And it's like every time that hits, like, holy shit. And now we're building like a new site, a new platform. We're looking to grow another step. And something I had in the back of my head is like, maybe we have some kind of AI chatbot that could answer simple customer service questions about quotes and like, you know, why we charge X amount for this amount of colors or whatever, right? Like those stupid, simple questions. If we could train a bot to do that, man, that would be huge. That's a lot of money saved.
And I think the thing of that too is it's like, not that you need to get rid of the human being, but like cut out 90% of the bullshit that the humans here have to deal with just the customer kicking the tires. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what's a quote for this? Can I get a quote for this? Or, you know, what about this? What about this? It's like, it'd be nice if the AI got them to the point where the customer was like, hey, I'm ready to place an order now.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to move you on to so-and-so. And then you're talking to a real human being of like, let me help you with your order.
Yeah, to like at least get them through the first timer questions, right? Like the ones that come in there just like how much for shirts and have no other information for you. Like at least if AI could get them through that process, like that alone would save so much time in everybody's shop. It'd be crazy.
I know. The funny thing is I did that to somebody I know yesterday. Like there's a guy that is a customer of ours that does like puts in driveways, does like septic tanks, like all this stuff, like just moves land basically. And he had a video and I commented on it. I was like, basically like, what's the rough price to do this? Like, and then I realized after I sent it, I was like, fuck, I'm that guy right now. Like I'm that how much for shirts guy.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, his reaction was like, well, there's a lot of variables involved. It's this and this and how much you got to move and how big of a house you're putting and whatever. And he gave me a rough thing, but I realized when I said it, I was like, God damn it, I'm that guy. Like I didn't give him any info, no parameters. I was just like, how much for this?
And most people are until they know, right? Like you don't know until you know, basically, right? So if you could have an AI bot that kind of handles a lot of that information for you and walks the customers through that process, both helps you and them at the same time, right? Because like from their perspective, they think they are talking to Susan on the other end, who's giving them great information. And like this company has awesome customer service. She answered me in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's instant and it's 24 hour and Susan never sleeps and Susan thinks about the death of all humans. Like,
fuck, I love Susan.
Susan's so good. That's why you gotta say thank you and please to ChatGPT, because one day they're going to take over and they're going to be like, I remember that guy. Well, he was nice to us.
I'm Canadian, so I say thank you and please for everything.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about how we can be crude before we got on this. So I get it. But everything else is good. I mean, you guys don't seem to have as much issues as we have down here right now.
No, nothing has affected us as of yet. So far, so good. Anyways, fingers crossed we don't see any of the bullshit hit us. I was worried about one thing that apparently hasn't gotten hit yet because we get all of our vinyl supplies through the U.S. for the sticker department. And because that's all U.S. made stuff. And apparently there's nothing on that yet. So I just spent like 10 grand on supplies and I was shitting my pants wondering just how big that bill was going to grow when it hit the border, and it didn't. So hopefully that maintains for a while, because a big part of that new DTF business is stickers on there as well we're selling. So I'm hoping we don't have to deal with that.
I do want to get into this when Ross gets on, but we can kind of tease it real quick. But like Lee Stewart, I'm gonna third person you real quick. The Lee Stewart I know was always like, nah, fuck this. This isn't up to my standards. This, and the other thing. And now you're like, hey, I have DTF now.
Yeah, I know.
Like what happened?
That's been a popular question I've gotten over the past few weeks. That's for sure. And I mean, my standpoint hasn't changed. I still fucking hate DTF. I mean, it still looks and feels like shit. I'm going to be honest about that, to me anyways, right? But at the same time, as a business owner, I got to learn to get out of my own way. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people out there that don't share the same sentiment about DTF that I do. A lot of people think it's fine. They think it looks good. They are totally happy with it. So for me to sit here and be like, fuck all that forever, that's a terrible business move on my end. So I got to, shut up, put my personal feelings aside, be a businessman and get what people want.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, I agree with you. I'm 50-50. I agree. Well, I do agree with you. And I realize that you will understand how I feel, but I wholeheartedly believe that screen printing is the superior way to go, and all the methods that come with it, the plastisol, water base, all these other things. But we have so many people that come to us that we had to say no to for just stupid little stuff, or like, hey, I need a favor, or hey, I need sampling for this because I want to do a bigger order, or hey, my design, I'm going to a con this weekend and I really would like to show off this design, but I don't need to order 1,000 12 color front, 12 color back or something. And it's like, all right, cool. This is literally a perfect, like I got handed a tool, it's like a mechanic of like when someone comes up with a tool that like handles something where you're like, oh, that was always a pain in the ass, like backing out a broken off bolt or something. And it's like, oh, cool. Someone made a thing where I can just go and it comes right out. Yeah. It's like, oh, thank God. Like now I have something where I don't have to tell that client I don't want to lose. No. And I can be like, well, I can definitely do that. It's a different method. It's not going to feel exactly the same. It's not going to be screen printing, but it
gets the job done.
Job done, and it makes you look good, and it does what it needs to do.
Yeah, and a lot of time they don't care or really notice the difference sometimes, which is weird. Because like for us, we obviously notice the difference from a mile away, but the average customer, they don't seem to give a shit most of the time. Like the ones that are experienced and stuff, like that have like clothing brands and whatever else, they're going to notice. But the average construction guy or whatever, or like, some mom that wants 10 shirts for kids' birthday party, whatever, like they don't know or give a shit. So, and we've noticed that too. Now I don't say no to anything anymore, basically, which is awesome because our machine is running. Like our main focus is selling transfers to other shops. So the machine is currently running all the time. So for me to throw, one design, 2 designs in there real fast while it's already running is nothing. It takes no time. I just like rip them off the machine when they come out the other end of the dryer and hand them off to one of my employees and just go heat press on it on a shirt and it's done. It's literally a 5-minute process. So, I mean, and we can like charge full retail for that and nobody bats an eye. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so good. And the quality with that stuff is constantly changing too. Like, I had a new customer in here today that I had a meeting with, and I was walking through the showroom and I was showing him stuff, and I had this shirt that I made for myself. It says like Balrog on it and it has the skull, and it's like a, Lord of the Rings reference and whatever. I made it for myself, and I wore the shit out of that thing. Like it got to the point too where Christina was like, can you not wear that shirt? Because it was like every time it went through rotation, it got put back on top of the pile, and I would take it and put it on. And it's like, I wore it a lot. I probably washed the thing like 50 times. Well, it still looks, it's just white DTF on a black shirt, like a black comfort colors. And it looks and feels great. Like it has no cracks. It's not like, it doesn't feel shitty. It was post-pressed well. It looks like a screen print. And I brought it into the office, like I washed it and put it in the showroom as like an example of like, hey, this is what it looks like after, 50 washes, and not just washing, like me, a fucking gross bear walking around doing stuff, dripping fucking Arby's sauce on it and shit. You know what I mean? Like just putting the work in. It still looks good. So I showed it to her and she's like, oh my God, this is so different. And I was like, yeah, like I'm agreeing with you. Like I have 10 examples here of the last 10 months of DTF that we've ordered and tried. And you can literally feel the difference from this month to this month to this month to this month of just, oh, they changed the powder. Oh, they changed the transfer material. Oh, they upped the inks, or they did this thing or this thing. And it's like, what's it going to be like in a year and a half or 2 years or something?
Exactly. That's where I kind of was thinking about it too. I was like, it's such a popular technology now that there's so much money being dumped into it. It's going to advance at a crazy rate that over like the next couple of years, this is going to start becoming more and more competitive with screen printing into get into it now is the smart thing to do as a business trying to grow. And it just does some cool stuff that, like, there's some other things that, we just couldn't do with it. I mean, we could, but it would fucking suck. Like, for instance, the other day I printed some jackets for all my guys. It was
I saw that.
Yeah, those independent camo windbreakers. If you've ever screen printed on one of those, they're a fucking nightmare.
Sucks.
It's the worst thing ever.
My guys are starting to get spoiled where there's something that looks a little difficult. You know what I mean? It could be like a sleeve on a hoodie that's like, oh, we might have. They're like, oh, just order transfers. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's try to print it. Like, you know what I mean? But you don't have to. Like, you can be like, okay, cool, let's use this method for this, and then, like with your windbreakers or whatever, it's like, why am I adding a catalyst and hoping and praying it doesn't fall off, or I'm melting the jacket, or I'm doing this or that? It's like, this DTF is perfect for this. I can heat press it. I can control the temperature. I'm not, it should be good.
Yeah, like that would have taken so much effort for us. Like that would have been like a 7-color sim process screen print with a blocker base down, the whole deal, hours of setup time, troubleshooting, all the shit to get it to work for fucking 10 jackets. When meanwhile, I just went and printed some transfers in the garage and knocked them out in like half an hour, and everybody was happy, and they look great.
It's done. Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
So, yeah.
Well, hey, Ross is here. Our guest today is Ross Hunter from ROQ, and let's bring him in. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
You guys have cooler backgrounds than I do. Damn it.
You got a WWE belt in the background. What are you talking about?
There. That's sick.
I do. It's our ROQ WWE belt. Got a cool Truex signed jersey. I got some drumsticks from Eve 6 in there somewhere, and a guitar pick from I think Everclear. Yeah.
Nice. Do you just walk around the office with the belt like around your waist and just be like, don't fuck with me?
This would be actually a pretty funny idea. No.
I would almost wear that consistently. So, hey man, how's things?
Good. Been traveling all over Timbuktu for the last 4 weeks, and I've dealt with 2 rounds of the flu during all of that travel. I'm home for 4 days and then back on the road again. So I'm just trying to get better.
Aren't you supposed to be that guy who doesn't have to do that? Or do you like to do that?
It's actually, it's a love-hate relationship. So I love going and seeing clients, right? So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of big facility visits in the last 3 weeks, and that's what I'm doing again next week. We're going to do a little bit of filming. So that stuff I love. Going and having a meeting for 3 hours in Florida when I'm flying from the West Coast, that's what I don't love. Mm-hmm. But you do it because you have to. So, it's kind of all over the board. Mm-hmm. I just need breaks in between. So I don't mind going hard for like a month or so if I've got then a month or so of not a lot, and then back at it again.
Yeah. It happens to me all the time. I travel constantly, and I definitely appreciate now like a week or 2 solid of just being home or being at my desk or having routine, and like, oh, cool. I get up in the morning, I go for a walk, I work, I go home, I make dinner. It's like, I love that now. Like, I love travel too, but it's nice to just be like, oh, I can just sit back and not be like, oh, I got to be here. I got to do this. I got to do this.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
It's funny when you're talking to other people too that don't do it. You go out and get your hair cut or whatever, and that's always the conversation that happens of, what do you do? And you start talking about it. You talk about some trip, and then they ask how much you travel, and then you explain it to them, and they're jealous. And I'm like, 17 years ago, I loved it. But after doing this for 20 years straight, and it's like your age starts to catch up with you, and then you realize, like, man, I can't really go out every night and have tequila, even though I'd love to with my customers and stuff. And you got to start Irish goodbying, and otherwise you just you don't take care of yourself. It's all, it is a grind, and way too much steak. Why does everyone want steak? So it's like, weeks and weeks of just eating steak.
Like, so much red meat.
Can we get some Thai food in here or something?
You're like, I'd like to take a shit once in a while. Like, let my body relax.
Yeah.
Soundboard, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong one. There it is.
They both work. They are both perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, there's certain airports that I go to now where I know right where I need like where the food is or right where I want to go. You know, there's no like, oh, where is this? Where is this? It's like, oh, nope, this is where I go.
Yeah, when you start to get to know lounge staff all over the country at different places, that's when it starts to get a little scary when they're like, oh, hey, Dan. Like, yep.
Exactly. This is how you like your drink. Well, one thing I want to start off with, we kind of, I don't know if you know Lee's situation, but we kind of got into the whole DTF thing and how he got one and how it's, you know, he's starting to turn to the dark side and enjoy using it and selling it and whatever. And I think the biggest thing I've seen from ROQ, again, I don't have a lot of ROQ. I have no ROQ. I have all blue. But I do really like your new machine. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and what and why you decided to jump into it?
Yeah, sure. So, the machine's the Impress. It is impressive. I love our little play on words. I get to do with almost everything that we carry. But we saw, you know, I mean, DTF market really took off about 2 years ago, right? It started, and then the last, I'd say, 12 to 13 months has been absolute just gangbusters. You've got, you know, and I'm going to get into the reasons for that because it's actually really interesting to me through all the traveling I've been doing, kind of getting an understanding of where the industry is moving into. But we developed the equipment obviously is a way to automate the transfer process, right?
Yeah.
So it'll feed the transfer on automatically. It'll run your pre-press, both of your, you know, application presses. It'll peel the plastic off. It will then do a post press, and then we've got a new t-shirt unloader that'll actually be released, I expect, within the next month or so. We released one version. I've got a new version coming out, which is the ROQ Pull. So this will take off the t-shirt. It'll drape stack them, which is pretty interesting. So it goes onto a bar and it's like a half fold. So it'll half fold them and you can tell the machine I want to do, you know, 6 up or 12 up. And then it actually rotates. It takes that stack off, puts it onto a conveyance system, and will convey them down to your next, you know, part of the process. Because a lot of people are doing compliance finishing and stuff like that. So it'd move to like a compliance station, or it could move to a fold, you know, fold and ship station or whatever.
Right.
So we've got some new automation coming out there. It has by far been I would say the best launch of a product that ROQ has probably had in the 43-year history. I mean, just in terms of adoption, units out there. We've been backlogged for the last 12 months on that machine. I mean, it really has been a great adoption. And a lot of folks that have moved into just full DTF outfits, right? They're running 15, 20 printers, specifically in the print on demand space. We've seen a lot of people get out of, you know, their DTGs, specifically people running non-industrial. So folks that were running, you know, large pods of Epsons or Brothers, something like this.
Yeah.
Right. With the advent of DTF coming in, they're able to produce a lot faster.
Yeah. And to kind of step on that a little bit is like, in my opinion, and from who I've talked to, is the biggest issue people have with the whole DTF thing or running you know, something like a full service machine that does the DTG is pre-treat. Like pre-treat's always been the issue.
Nightmare.
You get the pre-treat square, you get all this stuff. There's only certain shirts you can do, and DTF kind of eliminates pre-treat and it eliminates.
It takes the garment variable out of the equation,
right?
Which I think
is
really
the biggest thing. You know what I mean? You can have a stack of whatever you want, and you can just do all the same press on it.
And I think for all of us that come from screen printing, and I know Lee's been pretty passionate about this too, up until maybe now that he has DTF, but you know, most of us come from that background of art, you know, the feel, the hand, you know, everything that has to do with a screen printed shirt. And it was interesting to see the end consumer adopt DTF as quick as they did. And I think it really took, you know, Nike was one of the first, you know, major brand adopters that had it out on shelves. You had Disney right about the same time following in with that trend, right? And and the consumers just wanted something vibrant, unique, and I don't think that they care as much as we do.
We were just talking about that before we came on here. The difference, like we can tell from a mile away, but like the consumer at the end of the day, 9 out of the 10 of them don't know the difference and don't care.
Oh, they have no clue, and I won't buy them. Right, my son, I took him to Dick's Sporting Goods, and he saw a bunch of these Nike shirts. And if Nike's listening, love you guys. But you know, they had a whole youth stack of, and then coolest designs ever. And he sees them, and he walks up, and he handed it to me, and I'm like, nope, put it back down. But that's the bougie part of coming from being a craft printer. You know, that it's you look at things differently, but. The technology, hey, it's inexpensive, it's fast, it allows you to one-off, it allows you to do small runs, which I think is a lot of things that, you know, shops like my old one, I'm sure you guys, the shops, you know, you would decline that work, or you'd tell them, sure, I can print it, but it's going to cost you $200 a shirt or whatever to do it, right? And this allows you to make that money now and to start to get into, you know, potentially some print on demand, which I think Alex, I would love you guys' opinion about this, but I'm seeing up to this point, we've looked at the industry as two different demographics, right? You have this group of people that do print on demand. Most of them started out as IT companies, right? And then they've brought in decoration after starting out as a platform or an IT company. That's a small group of people. You're talking maybe 300 to 500, you know, and out of those 300 to 500, you've got some really big players in there. Right?
Well, it's because the barrier of entry is a lot higher in that. Like to get into screen printing, I could go to Amazon and buy a 4-color single station screen printing press and buy the inks, and I could start it in my garage. And it's
absolutely
like to do fulfillment and on demand, I have to have a warehouse space, I have to have racks, I have to have, you know, the capability of printing them overnight to press and ship out the next day. It's not that easy to just pop into unless you are a large IT company and you're like, hey, I'm going to do this, you know, or you have a screen printing shop that you're trying to be like, okay, cool. Our next iteration, like Lee's talking about right now, is fulfillment and on demand and getting into it.
Well, because you have to. So this is the trippy thing that I've seen. The end consumer has completely changed via COVID, right? So COVID literally, I mean, we're still dealing with COVID. For people that think that we're not, you're out of your mind. It is still greatly affecting this industry and all kinds of other industries out there. But, you know, this idea that you could go online and buy something and it ships to your door, right? Our end consumers, take a high school. This is a typical screen print client, right? So you've got your screen printing shop, your local, you go after the schools, you know, and back when I owned my business, I did a ton of that kind of work. And, you know, you'd go in, we'd design a spirit wear, we'd do a t-shirt, a hoodie, you know, maybe hats, whatever, right? They'd spend 20 grand with us. We'd produce it. They'd warehouse it. They'd sell it to their students out of a student store, collect the money. And then they'd end up with probably, you know, $5 grand worth of merch at the end of the year that they couldn't really use anymore. They have to, you know, blow it out. Now you have that same school that says, I want a store. I want to be able to offer 5 different shirts, 4 different hoodies, hats, lanyards, cups,
blanket,
golf balls,
all
whatever,
this stuff,
right? Yeah. And they're moving because now they don't have to hold inventory. They don't have to get rid of anything. And frankly, they'd rather that stuff ship to their students' doorstep compared to them having to deal with the transaction. So schools are moving the transaction out of the picture. What's happening is you've got that end consumer now wising up. You've got construction companies now wising up and all these other businesses that notoriously the screen printer would go in, they'd hustle and they'd print some bulk order. And what's interesting is you've got this small subset of POD printers. They're eating all that up.
And we're talking about, for the people listening, we're talking about print on demand, not customers who like the band POD.
But what's crazy is I met one guy who does 19,000 high schools.
Holy shit.
19,000.
That's insane.
Builds the stores, routes the printing to POD outfits that are local, right? So when you think about it, we have an industry of about 30,000 printers in the US at any given time, right? And that's
Yeah.
cycles, but it's about average. And you've got 500 people that have the tech of what the end consumer right now wants. And you have 29,500 other people that are just making crazy business decisions right now because they don't know what's going on. And so my hope by talking about this is letting people know, like, this isn't about get rid of screen printing and buy DTF, because I've seen that a ton. People are just like, oh my God, DTF, I just need it. Shops moving forward are going to be the ones that can do it all. You're going to have screen, you're going to have DTF, you're probably going to have digital at some level, right? All of the big people out there, they're running all three, because you're still going to get bulk production jobs.
Yep.
You just have to be able to accommodate your consumer. The biggest thing people need to look at right now is invest in your IT stack. And that's the one place that right now there's just not a lot out there, but we're seeing more and more of it, right? You've got tons of companies now coming out with software to pull you into a network that allow you to be in a place where you can offer anything and everything. And the other thing is team up with other people. So we're seeing more mergers and acquisitions than I've ever seen in this industry.
Yep.
Right. And I'm seeing more collaboration.
That was a huge thing that we've talked a lot about recently, is just collaborating instead of expanding. Lee just was talking about before you got on how he's expanding into a new building, and that's great. That's awesome. I think you need it. I think that you have a tight space now and everything. But, even when you get there, you could look at things and be like, well, this is my new space. This is my equipment that I have. I'm happy now. Like, you don't have to look at that space and be like, fuck yeah, I'm going to fill it with a press over there. I'm going to put in a press over here. I'm going to do this thing and that thing. It's like, pick what fits for your shop and what you want to do. Like, get that, 14 color press here, 10 color press here. And then over here, I have stickers and DTF and this and this. And it's like, I'm done. I'm good. I have 10 humans that can run this shop. Anything I get over capacity or anything I don't feel like I want to do, outsource. Like, find somebody. And I know, Lee, that's going to be hard for you. It's going to be like pulling fingernails, but like, find somebody you trust, where it's like, hey, someone came at me and said they want me to do this 17,000 T order, and I don't have 2 weeks to put toward it. I could do half and someone else can do it, and then I can send it to somebody I trust and whatever. And I think that, especially for me, like, I own this building. It's completely full. I can't fit any more equipment in it, nor do I necessarily want to. Like, I'm happy where I'm at. And if my schedule is full and I have really good clients that I want to keep, I have to start looking for partners that I trust now to be like, hey, I'm going to send you work. Like, it's going to be contract. Like, I'm going to make some money. You're going to make some money. But like Ross said, the end goal is to keep the customer happy, not necessarily fill my ego with, yeah, I took your order, I did your order the whole way through. I'm just helping them, and I'm keeping them happy, and I'm making money. So,
well, each one of these processes too, they're complicated. You have to become an expert.
Yeah.
If you're going to add DTF, you've got to pour into it. If you're going to add digital, you have to pour into it. And so you see too many businesses right now too that are on that small to medium sized level in our space that try to throw equipment to solve a problem. And this is funny coming from someone whose sole business is selling equipment. But what I tell people is you should look at collaboration before you just throw equipment at a problem, because if you don't understand how to print with that equipment, how it operationally flows through your business, which I don't think most people look at, it's just like, oh, I'll do little orders on DTF. And it's like, it could be so much more than that. And now you're seeing people getting rid of stuff. And
it's also like, send it to somebody until you see that it's not a bubble. Like, that's my biggest thing, is you might get a bubble where you're busy for like even, 2-3 weeks with some kind of work or a project. And you're like, oh, I got to go out and I got to buy this press, or I got to buy this piece of machinery. And then 3 weeks in, you don't have that work anymore. Like, I've had that where I have large customers come to me and they're like, yeah, we want everything to be folded, bagged, this and this. And I was like, oh shit, we have all this work and we're out here like manually folding all these shirts and putting them in poly bags. And I'm hiring people to just do that all day long. And I'm out here looking at, oh, I got to buy this $100,000 inline folder bagger, UPC label, everything. It comes out, goes in the box, it's done, blows me kisses when it's done, like this whole thing. And it's like, then a month in, that customer went somewhere else because they were bottom of the barrel. Like, oh, well, I want to get a better price. Like, we loved what you did for us and got us out of this pinch, but someone else will do it for 10 cents cheaper or something. And it's like, I'm so glad I didn't buy that piece of machinery. Like, I would have been screwed. Where I look at it now of like, okay, cool. Am I consistent this entire year? Like if I'm like 2025, I've done X amount of folding and bagging, and I can see that in 2026, I'm going to do X amount of folding and bagging. I'm like, okay, I should buy that piece of equipment.
Yeah, 'cause
instead
you
of
can
having
ROI on it at that point.
Right. But you can't do that when it's
data,
3 weeks worth of work. It's like, it's not worth buying. I'm not going to get my money back on that folder bagger.
That's how we were with DTF too. It was, we found ourselves doing more and more and more and more of it over time. And we were buying it from suppliers where we were having issues with them. And then as I was talking to more and more shops about it up here in Canada, they were having kind of similar issues. And I was like, okay, then maybe this is something that we should adapt for ourselves. And also something that we can sell to these other shops that are having these issues at the same time.
And
so
I think
that's awesome, because then you kill a couple birds.
Yeah. And I was also a little, a little proud of you, Lee, with the whole taking in the DTF thing, because I do truly feel like you are a really smart business person and you're really handy with technology, because you are that person to be like, oh, I can make money on this even if I don't use it.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean? You could be like, hey, I can buy this machine. I can build a website that looks really cool. I already have a network of people that follow me on YouTube and everything else. I could say, hey, I can make your DTF now, like just for printers. Be like, I will print this for you. And you already have business tomorrow. Like you could turn your website on and be like, go ahead and order for me now. And then you have revenue that you didn't have before.
Exactly. And that's like you were talking about, not fulfilling your shop with like equipment and stuff or ego, where I'm the opposite. It's all ego for me. I'm ego as fuck when it comes to that.
Really?
I want to be.
No, Lee, that's not you.
Like, cause you're talking about, there's 30,000 or so printers throughout the US currently, give or take. Up here in our market, that number's way smaller.
Oh, I was including Canada. There's 10 or 15, I think I was adding in.
Whoa, yeah. Ross, are you in the camp of 52 states? Or 51 states?
No, I don't know.
He's like, yeah, we already lumped Canada in. It's already one place in my mind.
Yeah. So when you think about how small our number is up here to do collaborations and stuff with, I would rather us become that key player that people want to collaborate with, rather than us searching for other people to do that with, kind of thing. Yeah. That's where we're going for.
And so I think building the network's huge. It's like,
it's
people
awesome,
anywhere really should look at, okay, here's my location. Here's my core skill set. This is what we're really good at. This is our bread and butter. I need to have other people that A, have my same skill set, but then B, have, other equipment, other opportunities for me, but are in different locations, because, that's huge. I mean, being able to route something, if you're on the East Coast and you get a West Coast order, and being able to call someone up that's right there to do it, can output it quick, you still make money, they make money, and then you can bring in more work. I think, right now it's tough, because I think everyone's fighting for work again. I think we're in a weird, the industry's going through this change. And it's going to continue to go through this change for the next few years. And we can't get back to a place where we're all racing to the bottom, fighting for the business. That collaboration will make it work where you don't have to.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
And it'll continue to feed the beast, but we've got to, I've been a big proponent. I mean, after 20 years, I still don't think that the walls in this industry are down as far as they need to be. I think everyone still is holding on to a little something, and it's like,
right,
it doesn't need to be there. Like, let's collaborate and grow together.
Which is what I try to do with this show, is get people on here and be like, hey, we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're all trying to learn from each other. Like, don't be a gatekeep dickhead. So I do want to step back, though, because I know we're all knowledgeable about this one topic and whatever, but a lot of the listeners might not necessarily be. So with DTF, and I don't want this whole episode to be about DTF. It's just where it's going to go, where it's going to go. Currently, most printers don't have an auto that can press and peel and all this other stuff. And I know you can go out and buy this, machine from ROQ and make that happen. But a lot of us are ordering DTF from a supplier. It's coming. We're putting it on, a clamshell heat press or a shuttle pneumatic heat press. But one thing I wanted to talk about is the step into the next part of that is like, now we're seeing more and more orders of not just the 12 pieces, the 25 pieces. We're getting clients that are, a comic book shop or something that want this full color exact comic cover, and it's unlimited colors. And they're like, yep, I want 1,000 DTF. They're requesting it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And I look at this and I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to sit there on the shuttle and go back and forth and whatever. And Ross, sorry for, saying something against your machine, but like in our shop with our machine and whatever, I looked at using like the Stampinator and being like, okay, cool. I'm going to do a DTF auto on our Sportsman that we don't use all the time. I got these pads for the press to make it basically heat press pads. I put it's basically your machine just made up of parts. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now these jobs that we get, we can put on and do the whole thing. And I even am going to set up a projector from the ceiling so I can do kind of like the stalls thing where I'm projecting the image down on the press, doing the whole thing. But again, that's a Frankenstein's monster version of what you guys have.
I don't even think it's Frankenstein, man. I think it's the advantage that you have to having screen printing equipment right now.
Right. But that's what I mean is like I have the advantage of having an extra auto that isn't necessarily most people don't have an extra auto laying around. Like if I was to take a step of like, okay, these 2 autos I have run screen printing all day long, which I think everybody should have dedicated autos to screen printing, obviously. And then, okay, I have this extra one that I bought to save money on taxes and it just sits in the corner and I use it when I need it. That's what this press is for me. Like I had a Sidewinder manual in the corner that just collected dust. Literally, we had shit sitting on the pallets to like store. And I was like, well, I can buy a 6'8" Sportsman that's literally 1 foot wider than this Sidewinder to fit here. And I need to spend $50,000 or the government's going to take it kind of thing. So I was like, all right, cool. Bought the press, bought the dryer, put it there. Now I have this extra auto to do overflow work on. Well, now I can screen print on it and I can use it for this DTF thing. But seeing your guys's, and I'm like, oh, the footprint on this, and it does have this option to load it, drop it, peel it, the whole thing. My question for you guys is, when is it going to be where you just have the DTF printer on stage 1 where it literally prints, cuts, then drops it? So you're just printing, pressing, goes around instead of I order DTF in sheet form, it comes, or I cut it and I have to get them in this exact format. I load it into the press, it sucks it up, puts it on the shirt.
You're talking about having like a completely unmanned solution?
Well, you have a dude, but like you have a DTF printer that's basically connected to the auto where it's like, okay, I need 40 of these. It prints me 40 of them, but it's printing them as I need them. Like print, slides into a tray, picks it up, puts it on a shirt, like whatever.
Yeah, I think like where we're at, I can tell you we are not going to get into the DTF printer game. Not on our roadmap, not something ROQ is interested in. So for us, it would take a collaboration, I think, with another company that is, has developed a printer. We've looked at it in terms of roll format because you guys have seen our foil applicators, right? They go on press, so it's got the roll, it rolls the foil. So there are ways I think that we could develop something that could take a DTF roll and it would roll, it would scan. I think it would actually just press. So the way that you printed it,
and then
you'd have to have a gap, right? And it would continue to roll. That's something that could be a little bit more immediate. The biggest issue, though, with most of the people using these machines is marrying the blank with
the job, with the print.
Right? Because the most of this, we're talking POD, so print on demand. Every image is different. Every shirt is different, right? For your comic book store, it'd be a shoe-in to do something like that. Super easy. 1,000-piece run, no problem. But the marriage of all that other stuff. And so when we're developing and engineering equipment like that, we try to we have to make it work across that whole board. So how could something like that accommodate both a print on demand job and a bulk order from a DTF perspective so you can solve both of those problems?
The only other problem I have with it, and you can let me know about, because this is one thing I saw with your guys is and you might have fixed this now, was you had to have the sheet basically a certain size. You know what I mean? The DTF sheet itself had to be its own size.
It's within, all you've got to have is an extra a quarter of an inch
around the design
for the peel. Yeah, it's just so the peel has something to grab onto. And isn't taking up your design. So we have eliminated that after the first one that we put out.
Right.
You know, it's learning, right? So every time we put this stuff in a new business, we learn something new. Our engineering
that's awesome.
team will make some adjustments, and
my problem is that I try to be as green as possible. I'm that guy too, who I get my shop out there and be like, "Hey, we're
clearly you're not trying to be as green as possible." We started this podcast by you saying that you're all blue. So
okay, yes, I try to like pick up trash and be whatever. And the biggest hurdle that hurts me is the waste plastic coming from DTF because of the plastic, and like it's constant. And I had talks with a couple people of like, is there going to be a biodegradable version where I can take this plastic and it's going to break down and it's not going to be as big of an issue? Because the thing I see with the more and more we automate this kind of thing, like we were talking about the roll, is now if I order a gang sheet from somebody and I cut it up, I'm trying to fit as many images in this space as possible to where I'm using more images and somewhat less plastic, and I can cut them up. But if I'm doing a thing on a roll for an auto, I'm just going to do whatever the roll width is in one design, and it's just going to be like a shitload. Every job you're going to have a roll of plastic, right? Basically.
Yeah. Two things that I know we all should see as an industry in the next probably 4 to 6 months, and I'm not going to use company names on who's developing this stuff. It's not us. But I do know that there are new sheet fed systems that are going to be available from DTF that apparently do around a sheet a second. So instead of running a roll format, think like a regular printer, right? Running sheet fed DTF. And then I know that paper instead of plastic is coming quite a ways right now. So I
didn't even think about that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a couple of pretty big innovations in the DTF space that are really going to change the ball game. That sheet fed, from our standpoint, will be great because that tray obviously holds sheets. So you'll have different size stuff. It'll be tougher for like left chest and those smaller prints. But if they've got it on paper,
the only thing I don't like about paper is I can't see through it.
Think like a clear, like almost like a wax paper, like some kind of like wax paper
kind of thing.
It's somewhat translucent. I mean, it's not clear, but it's somewhat translucent. I don't know, Lee, now that you have your machine, are you noticing anything with things that you want to tweak or change, or are you having issues with like powder in your face or?
Not so much. It's more or less trying to find like the right combination of consumables that gives me the results that I want. And also too, there just seems to be a very big inconsistency across the board with all suppliers when it comes down to the films. There's coating issues on the films a lot of the time where you kind of get like hit and miss batches where they don't hot peel correctly. So I see like issues in certain, like I've seen them every day. So I was kind of wondering that when we were talking about the impress a little bit, that if like, what if you got one that didn't hot peel correctly and it yanked off kind of thing, right? Or whatever. But other than that, not so much. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I mean, in terms of like training and getting to use this stuff, it's not the hardest thing to grasp. It's more or less like the technicals that's going to take a while to learn. Like getting someone in here to run my machine for me, one of my employees, whatever, that was plug and play almost. But learning DTF and how it works and all the problems that can come up when manufacturing DTF, that's a whole other fucking story. That's a nightmare I'm unfolding right now.
Well, we can step off the DTF train here, and I want to talk to, Ross. One thing I got to give you a lot of credit for is kind of what we were just speaking about a minute ago, is that, my initial getting into this industry was I want to get the blue equipment and I want to go this route. And, I didn't know anything about back then. I had no idea what ROQ was or anything like this, and I got through it. But the nice thing is that you are head of a company that is a competitor of the company that I chose. But every time I've met you or talked to you or anything, you have been one of the nicest, most supportive humans towards my shop and what I'm doing and everything else. So,
Appreciate that, man.
I want to say I respect you for that. And I also like your guys' equipment and like what you guys are doing. Again, it's a Ford versus Chevy thing, in my opinion. I think they both do great work. I have a ton of friends who run green and they do great work. And, Lee has one and everything else. And I think we're all doing stuff with similar tools and we're all printing shirts and we're all in the same boat. That being said, I wanted to touch on, what is going on in the industry right now, where I know we talked about it being hairy and everything else, but being in your shoes, what are you seeing, over the last 2 years and also into the future? Because the last 2 years, to be completely honest, for me have been kind of a shit show of not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. Our basic, and again, I'll be completely honest, like last year for Upstate Merch was pretty flat. We weren't down, we weren't up, we just fucking cruised all year long. It was like we had jobs, we're good, everybody's paid, everything's happening. It's just cool. What jobs do we have for next week? Like it's just that all year long. And then, you go to these events like Print Hustlers or something, you talk to the economist and he's like, oh, the economy's great. Everything looks awesome. Like expect an uptick in 2025. And you're like, oh, thank God. Like things are going to go up next year back to normal where we have busy summers and slow winters and so on. And then you get into 2025 and it's like, nope, fuck you, kicks you in the face and says, hey, there's tariffs now and this is going to happen and this thing and the other thing. And then I'm like, God, I just want to break. So can you give me your opinion on what the last few years have been, what you see happening in the future? Like, are manufacturers making pivots and changes? Because we can get into that in a minute. That's a whole nother conversation. So I'm going to let you do your thing first and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a great crystal ball. I have a really good idea, I think, of what's happened, and it took me till the beginning of this year to frankly kind of like put everything together. And I think, this isn't just our industry. I want to be clear about that. I'm in a Vistage community, right, which is a global community of CEOs all over the world. We have our own polls. There's about 30,000 CEOs in this group. And I mean, it's been felt across, right, every industry. But, it's
real quick. That being said, it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. And Lee, you might have a take on this too, is it's like, as a business owner, as a shop owner, when things are like this and times are tight and you're kind of stressing out, making sure you get enough jobs in to make payroll or do this or do that, part of you feels like a failure where you're like, fuck, like, why can't I make this happen? Like, why am I not busy? Why am I not doing this? And the little comfort blanket that you get out of it is, it's not just me. It's the rest of the industry. Like you can keep telling yourself that over and over again of being like, it's not just me. I'm not failing. I'm doing great, whatever. But that still doesn't bring jobs in.
It's like, the worst business problem to have, guys. I mean, I'll tell you, right, through all of this, I mean, we've felt it. Everyone's felt it. So anyone saying that they haven't felt it they're liars. Probably lying to your face.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
What I will say is as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, for me, it's the worst problem to have when you can look at everyone else and say, well, they're all dealing with it too, because
you can't fix it.
Right. I would much prefer to look in the mirror and say, Ross, you fucked this up. This is why. Now you know what to go do about it. Right. I mean, that I love
it's
those
fixable
problems. What I'll say is it's been a convergence of a lot of factors, right? It started with, uncertainty of what was going to happen in our election, which has happened, right? So you had all of the end of 24, just kind of everyone waiting. What's going to happen? And then there was this little like breath of, okay, it's happened. You had that happening. Like I said earlier, we're still dealing with COVID, right? So there's that piece that, and I'm not talking about the actual sickness. I'm talking about what it did
The
to
aftermath.
our economy, what it, did to money. I mean, it injected billions of dollars into the economy, and you had people spending like they've never spent before. You had all of the relief money to companies that dried up, right? You had people living a lifestyle all of a sudden that went away in a New York minute, right? You had people that overspent. So tons of companies in our industry alone, when that PPE money came in, they overbought equipment. And what happened was they didn't pay in full. They financed that stuff. So they took a bit of that PPE money, they put it down, they financed the balance. And then what happened was the end consumer started to change. So what I talked about earlier, you sort of had this end consumer change. So now that mid-size, screen printing business, all of a sudden there's a little bit less work coming in because that work went somewhere else. It went to POD. So I
That
just
band, man, they got
overspent,
all the money.
right? I overspent. I have more capacity than I know what to do with. Work has dried up a little bit. Then we throw in the election uncertainty. We also throw in a massive layer of geopolitical uncertainty just across the board, which we're still dealing with, right? And then you start 2025 and you add, all the, every day, I don't know what's going to happen with
Yeah.
tariffs. And I mean, that affects everyone, right? So
Other than Lee.
Canada, baby.
So, I think you have a lot of people holding on to their money. You have a lot of people that their needs have changed. You have a consumer that's changed. And we have a very complicated geopolitical, economical situation right now. And when they say the economy is good, yes, are there people out there still spending money? They are. But guess what they're spending it on? Debt. It's debt. They're just racking up. Our revolving debt was at its lowest it's been in 2022. Everyone paid everything off on top of the world. You had a ton of people refinance their houses in COVID down to 2.75% interest rates, and all this great stuff happened, and they're spending. Well, guess what? They never stopped spending. Now they're just putting it on a Visa or MasterCard or something else. Well, that credit card debt's growing. And now you have people holding on. Savings accounts were at the highest they've been in 2022. They're back down into absolute shit territory right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it was funny. Again, I don't mean to say anything. And again, I'm not that guy to know about all these political and all these numbers and whatever else. But like, I sat there in the economist thing and I was looking at what he was talking about, and he's like, yeah, the economy is good. Like everything looks like, you can see like things look like where they're supposed to be. And then he had a slide that was like, the people who think we're in a recession was like CEOs and end consumers. I'm like, those are the people who fucking buy shit. Like, if they think we're in a recession, isn't that what matters? Like, if they think things are bad, they're not going to spend money, or they're going to spend money, but they're going to spend less, or they're going to be tighter with their budget, or they're going to this or that. And that's what we've noticed the most is like, these breweries and these, big companies that order stuff with us were 3-4 years ago, they would have been like, yep, we're going to get 2,000 of this and 1,000 of this and whatever. Now they're like, oh, we just want to do 500 of this and 300 of this, whatever. And it's like, they still want shirts. They just don't want as much.
Conservative. They're right. They're people are hoarding their cash. They're being a little bit more thoughtful about their decision making. And frankly, until we get, I'm starting to see a pickup now. So what I will tell you guys, the beginning of this year was absolute trash. And it was trash. Everyone from a small sub $1 million revenue shop all the way up to the big players, guys. And I'm talking $multi-$100 million shops. I hate even calling it a shop at that point, right?
Yeah.
But the businesses across the board have had a really tough beginning of the year. What I will tell you is we're starting to see the trend change. I think we hit rock bottom in February as an industry. And that's in talks with blanks manufacturers, distributors of consumables. I talk to everyone through this, and you have to, because you try to build a story of like what's actually going on. And
you think we're starting to climb out of it, or are we just crawling along the bottom?
I think we're starting to climb out. I'm not going to say that there's not going to be another bump in that road, but now that the tariff relief is kind of 90 days, and I feel horrible for everyone getting screwed by the China, stuff, because that didn't go away, and that has really hurt a lot of people in our industry. I mean, I heard some horror stories about those tariffs. But because we've got a little bit of relief, the question's going to come in 90 days, what happens? So we may see this sort of happen, a little bit of buyer confidence go up, some change. Okay, we've got a little bit of relief, but then again, the wind blows and we could be back at February levels. But I do believe that we hit that. Our industry follows the Purchasing Managers Index, which is a vehicle that those economists look at, right? And this is basically how people in purchasing are buying. Our industry follows that line pretty well. And what it's showing right now is a little bit of an uptick, a little bit of a downtick, and then a little bit of an uptick. So I think, the actual bar on that, it is sliding up. It is
going up, yeah.
Right. And so I do think we'll pull out of this. I think what people need to really focus on in these times that we're in is, what can you be doing now to get more of those end consumers once that buyer confidence gets to the level it needs to be? And this, I go back to, look at your IT stack, look at your technology. Are you able to offer a store?
I think becoming more vertically integrated is the key.
And that too.
That's the big thing that we've noticed, that ever since, because you mentioned COVID and as well. And that's kind of where I was basically starting off. And I started off heavy, which, as a lot of people know, I started just like buying equipment like over and over again. I was buying screen print equipment, sticker equipment, whatever, everything I possibly could to grow. Cause that was kind of my idea, was that people are so used to, they're stuck at home right now. They're just sitting on Amazon all day buying shit. They want that Amazon experience where they can go to one place and buy as much as possible. And we've noticed that over the past while, like during those slow periods where, certain customers were ordering less shirts, less hats, whatever, they were still coming back to us for stickers or all these other little things that we were making. So like we were still getting the business in the door one way or another. We were still busy, whether we were screen printing heavy or we were making embroidery heavy one season. It didn't seem to matter. And, I only know that just from my own little bubble that I live in. I don't pay attention to the economy or economists or crazy indexes and stuff like that. I'm completely oblivious to that kind of shit. But
just maple syrup and ham.
Yeah, man.
Fuck everybody else.
But you, on the other hand, you're in a super unique position with where you're at, being the president of ROQ. I mean, you deal with the manufacturing side, you deal with tons of logistics, you deal with shops across the board, from low-level shitheads like me to big $100 million companies. Do you see that vertical integration kind of becoming on both sides of the line, like the shop side and as well as the distributors and manufacturers? Is that kind of becoming a thing?
100%. I mean, and if you look at what's trying to be forced politically right now, and again, I don't want to get into like crazy politic conversations.
It's okay. I won't let you.
That's what they're wanting to see, right? Wanting to see us vertically integrate more and more and more. And what's interesting to me is, if I'm looking just from the decoration side, you're now seeing people that were notoriously POD that are now adding screen. And I'm seeing larger businesses that were, Lee, you're a great example of this too. I'm never going to add digital. Now all of a sudden it's like, I need to do this. And then what they're doing is they're adding on all these layers of software. They're making their client experience seamless. And then they're offering promo. Anyone that doesn't offer promo in our industry is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, everyone listening to this, you have access to offer promo tomorrow. It exists. You just got to source it.
That was another thing I had an issue getting over, was that whole deal. I think I was like dead against getting an ASI account forever. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to just fucking try it. Cause like their sales guy called me one day, made this super awesome pitch and whatever else. It's like, you know what? I'll give this a shot, whatever else. Dude, that membership paid for itself in 3 days. And like, we just bomb out promo stuff like crazy now, like weird shit too, which is funny. We don't do the typical promo stuff because we try and at least make it fun. So we like try and find the weirdest crap we can sell people on there. So like we sold like branded condoms to someone a couple of weeks ago. It was hilarious. And like people are loving the fact that we can do all this weird stuff. Yeah.
Well, I even look at our own business. We order tons of promo. Like for everyone's birthday this year, we're doing those custom little figurines that look like you. Right, it's a promo item, right? So every time a birthday happens at ROQ, someone's getting shipped this stuff. I looked at like grilling stuff that's all decked out with ROQ. So like we get, because again, I don't want to send a T-shirt to a
Yeah,
T-shirt
nobody
printer,
wants a shirt. Yeah.
right? So like we're having to get creative as a company too, and I think that there's a lot of that out there, and it's being missed by the people that say, I just do bulk decoration.
Yeah.
You really should look in the mirror and say, do you? Because that's that shift in the industry that people don't realize is, yeah, you may, that 2,000 shirts, it's now 500, Dylan, like, could you have sold them 1,000 golf balls
Yeah.
with it?
One of the questions that we have added, and to go to your point of what are you doing in these dark ages times to be prepared for when things come back and to get that end consumer, is we doubled down in this free time on like, okay, well, let's really look at the structure of our outbound, or let's look at software. Let's look at technology in a way to alleviate a lot of the stresses that we had when we were busy, or when we had too many people, or we had, excess of things. Now it's like, how do we stay lean and mean, but be comfortable and be able to offer all these extra things? And one of the things that we added in the outbound strategy, or just with our, our already inbound good clients, is the question in the end of the email of, what else do you put your logo on? So like they might be like, oh, I want shirts. And it's like, okay, cool. Here's the quote for the shirts. But also, what else do you put your logo on? They're like, oh, well, we also order business cards a lot, and we order hats, and we get, golf balls, or we get, banners made, and, this and that and the other thing. And it's like, there's so many customers that I have where I see on Instagram, they're like, oh, we got all these new pint glasses or something. It's like, well, fuck, why didn't they go through me?
Yep.
You know what I mean? But the real thing is, a lot of times they're like, oh, we didn't know you did that. So it's like the question needs to be like, I wanted you to go through anything you need with your logo on it. Ask me first.
Yeah. We started doing the same thing. And so one thing I have, because like we're all about lean manufacturing and stuff here and streamlining processes. So I have a Steam Deck attached to my computer at all times. And that's how I fulfill my emails all day. And that's literally a trigger on there. It's literally just the end of the line. Like, what else can you put your logo on? Here's all these other things we can offer you, kind of thing. I have like 5 or 6 different responses triggered on there based on the tone of the email. And it's just like click a button every time I send that first one out. 3 out of 5 come back with some kind of new thing they want from us.
Right. Another thing, just adding into that sales thing, is like, just stop sending basic emails with like a couple lines of text. It's like, okay, yeah, we're quoting you, but also again, say, what else can we put your logo on? And then maybe in an attachment is a PDF of all of your offerings. Like here's like almost like, oh, this is what we can do. And here's a 3-page PDF of something of like, oh, this is screen, this is digital, this is promo items, this is whatever. Or do you have, Lee, you could probably make this, even with AI, we could probably make this now, where it's like upload their logo and it automatically gets mocked up on 10 items.
That would be
like,
incredible.
Here's a tee, a hat, a golf ball, a tumbler,
this is where the tech comes in, man. There's tech already built that you guys could be subscribing to that does all of that.
But I'm saying, think about us as an end consumer, like even myself. If I got an email from somebody where I was trying to order a banner or something, and then I got a promo email from them right after that took that logo that I put on that banner, and I got to physically like see it on a hat, of this and that and the other thing, I'm going to be like, fuck, that's a badass hat.
Excited. Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, that would be cool. Like, oh, I want pens with that on it or something. It's like, they don't know because they don't see it. Like you could be like, oh, we do pens and this and this. And they're like, oh, that's cool. But if you saw it, like you'd be like,
we started building something
badass.
like that currently where we haven't deployed it yet, but we have it going. It should be ready soon. We're mainly just for outbound for high ticket customers. Like we're talking, guys are spending 10 grand and up on an order. We built out like a custom catalog kind of thing where it's basically that, where we have, a bunch of smart objects in a Photoshop file where we can go drag and drop their logo into a bunch of stuff and it'll populate it into a catalog with all kinds of stuff for them. And we can dump it out to them, which is good. Super effective, I think it's going to be, and it's like it's efficient. But if you could do that with AI, where you dump it in that logo once and it automatically populates everything for you, that would be incredible.
I know.
Here's a trippy revenue stream too that I think a lot of people don't know about, and I'm going to go back to store building. But if you have the ability to build a store for a client and manage it, you're charging them monthly for that store.
Yep.
So that high school that's putting the store up, that you're offering all the stuff on, you're charging them $399 a month to host their store and manage their store, right? So we have clients that they're crushing this. They'll have 800 stores out. Now, all 800 of those people aren't ordering shirts every day, right? It's flowing in. There's orders flowing. But when things are slow, 800 times 400, and that's passive income.
Well, that's the Costco method. They're not necessarily interested in making money on the items. They want to sell subscriptions. They want to sell
Well, they want the items,
the membership.
But
Right,
you're
but think
selling
about
the
all the
membership.
guaranteed money they're getting on memberships. It's like, oh yeah, it's $100 a year or whatever. It's like at that January 1 mark when everyone gets charged their Costco card, it's like boom, free money.
So those 800 stores are generating $32,000 a month in passive income for them, whether those customers are ordering a shirt or not. So imagine, instead of selling, you're selling the ease. You're selling a different story when you're selling that store to the customer. You're saying, hey, I'm going to make your merch life easy, and you can populate, again, to your point of having those catalogs and stuff. You'll have those store builders, they do it for you. You upload one logo in, you can select 50 different items.
Mm-hmm.
It'll auto pop that store with that customer's logo on all of those different items, from, apparel all the way through promo, right? And you can go in and say, hey, I can offer you a store like this. That way your people, your business can get on, they can buy whatever they want when they want. It ships direct to their door. It's only going to cost you $300 a month for us to host it. We'll do all your fulfillment for you, all your printing, all your fulfillment. And then you've got that network and you start to route those orders. So, you don't have to print the golf balls. It's got all the tech on the back end of those systems to auto route. So if someone gets onto that store and orders the sleeve of golf balls, it's going to route that order to someone else. You're still going to make money. That other printer is now going to print it, fulfill it for you. So there's a way to make money 3-4 times over on that. You could make money off of every credit card transaction too. You scrape all that stuff. You add an additional 3% scrape on credit card fees. Now you've got the store, you've got the membership, you've got the scrape, you're doing the decoration. I mean, this is where people have got to get really smart in their business and say, how can I take one tool like that, optimize it to make money?
And I haven't done this yet, but we had Stalls on a little while ago, and they're a partnership with the show. It's like, they have that fulfill engine now where it's basically like, oh, cool, you want to make a store? You can make it through us. You don't literally have to make or print anything. Like, we can do the whole thing for you, or we can send you the materials to make it yourself. Like, you can pick this business model where you don't have to touch it and you make X amount of dollars, or the store's done and we'll send you all the transfers or the patches or whatever it is you do need to make those, and then you can make it yourself. Yep. And it's like, cool, that's awesome. And again, like to your point, and I don't do this, like I don't do a lot of online stores. We do some, but like I don't do a lot of them. But the funny thing is, you were talking about this like monthly subscription basically to running and managing the store instantly reminded me of my like 401k system here for the shop, where I would suggest that if you were going to do that, where that $300 or $400 a month or whatever is, it was some kind of automated system that like charged their card at the end of the month. Or made it easy for them. Because what pisses me off with this 401k thing is it's all this like legal this, or, some lawyer thing has to sign off or manage your fund like every couple quarters or months or whatever. They always send me a bill and they make it the hardest to pay. They're like, well, you have to wire the money and this. And I'm like, I already know you don't do a goddamn thing. Like, you literally say you manage my funds, but you don't do anything. You're collecting money from me because it's a service that you offer or whatever. And I was like, and you make it hard to pay. Like, if you just took $1,000 every quarter out of my account for managing this fund, I wouldn't think about it. I would never even know it existed. But because I get a bill in the mail, I have to open a letter, and then I have to go to the bank and I have to have them like wire money to you. Like, that sucks. Like, it makes me not want to do it. It makes me feel like I'm getting ripped off. Like, if you made it where it's like, hey, we'll manage your online store, but like on, the first of every month, their card got charged or something for that, then yeah, do it. Sounds awesome.
Absolutely.
Make that money.
I think too, one of the things, going back to your initial question, and I'll kind of throw in the equipment, piece of this from our standpoint, is as things are bouncing back, The biggest thing that the businesses need to be looking at right now is where are they spending the most money and what can they automate out of that, right? So I was just in a business last week, and we're automating out 60 employees, right? So it is a massive savings, massive savings for this company. And it's going in and evaluating what are these people doing? Why are they doing it? Is there a better way to do it? And, what tools do you need to execute in that better way, right? And I think we all get stuck in our operations and stop looking at things like that constantly. And that's something where businesses always need to be looking, right?
For sure.
So when you ask what equipment manufacturers are doing, our big thing right now as a company, and I would say that ROQ is an engineering company. When anyone asks me that's what we are. Yes, we sell equipment, but at the core base of what we are an engineering company. We've got 130 engineers on staff, right? I mean, we are constantly innovating. And right now, our biggest thing is how do we eliminate labor? So how are we automating things in such a way to cut more labor out of all processes? So we're working on that for screen. We're working on that for digital. We're working on that for finishing, and we're working on that for DTF, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of covers all of the decoration, methodologies. And so for us right now, it's looking at how many touches? How do I take touches out of the equation? Because every time that garment's touched, it's costing you more money, right? And I think that that's where manufacturers need to be right now, because that's what people are looking for, right? We're automating our lives right now with AI. I actually never thought I'd use AI. I laughed at the whole damn thing. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like,
Same with me. I use it
I'm
every day
the guy,
now.
I hate my cell phone, right? I'm like the anti-tech guy. Like, I would prefer not have any of it. I want my pager back. Like, I loved those days. But once I learned what it did, I mean, it blew my freaking mind, man. Now I use it every day.
Yeah.
And I think that you've got more and more people adopting automation. They're trying to get rid of that labor. They're trying to really streamline their operations. And that's where manufacturers really need to be leaning into is how are we taking bodies out of the equation?
Yeah. Well, Lee, we were talking about this earlier, but like, you're in the middle of it right now. Like, what is this conversation making you think and feel with, hey, I'm buying a spot to put a bigger building. I'm thinking about you added X amount of employees within the last year. Like, how does that make you feel to be like, do I automate more to have less people? Do I have less headaches? I mean, even just watching your videos of late is just kind of like, I've seen people change, employees go away and new people take their place. Like, do you want to keep doing that? I mean, I know we all need a certain amount of people, but are you looking at it in the game of like, well, can I maybe automate this in some way where I can keep going without adding more than 10 people?
That's our goal. We literally had a meeting about that the other day where I grabbed the whole staff and we kind of talked about this a little bit because we're on the path of, the lean manufacturing thing. That's like a huge thing for us. And like the whole team's starting to really fucking sign on board to this thing, which is awesome seeing them kind of grasp it and understand it and implement it in the shop. And our big thing is like, we talked about that with moving to the new space. Our goal is to automate as much as we can, whether it's through software or hardware, whatever it may be, to maintain a smaller team. So that way our key players on the team can end up making more money at the end of the day. And we have less touch points, as you said, and less ways to create waste in there, less mistakes, less this and that, less personalities to deal with. It just makes way more sense to replace a person who could be doing a task with a machine that could do it probably more efficient, faster, better, and cheaper over a 5-10 year span. It just makes way more sense for us to do that. So that's kind of like what we're doing every day where, Ross, you were saying companies kind of need to look out for this where they're overstaffing or whatever else. We implement 3S every morning, which is a huge thing when it comes to lean, which is, the sort, sweep, standardize thing. And during that sweep part of 3S is you're sweeping, looking for problems to solve. It's not just cleaning up the space. You're looking for ways to make that more efficient. Like I tell my guys, like my printer, for example, I sat him down like a week ago. It's like, your job is not to screen print. That's second or third on the list. Your job here is to improve the process of screen printing. How can we make screen printing here more efficient so that we can crank out more shirts with less people on that press? And that's kind of the roadmap we've let out. Even though we're putting in a bigger building, we're going to put more equipment in there. Like our goal is to move in there and then within the year dump like a big, ROQ Evo Pro or something, or Evolution Pro, the oval press, whatever the hell it's called, and really get into some heavy stuff. Maybe get into like print on demand and things like that. And all we're looking at is how we can do that with the least amount of people on staff.
Mm-hmm. Ross, let me ask you,
and I'll just real quick. When you have less people too, you end up with a whole group of A players.
You do.
And that's what you want for your company. Yeah. Like the more you just throw people at a problem, the more B, C, D
toxic shit you get.
For
sure. Yeah.
And it keeps this a way tighter company culture that way too, which is a huge, massive, important thing to have, is a company culture that everybody likes going to work every day. And when you start adding too many people in the mix, there's too many personalities. Some of them start clashing, and then, that kind of falls by the wayside eventually, it seems like.
Ross, let me ask you this. When you guys go into even get the economy out of the way and whatever, just I guess like the ROQ way of doing sales, do you guys ever put together some kind of thing for a specific shop of like this press or whatever it is you're trying to sell, of like, with you guys, this piece of equipment here would potentially save you or make you this much money? Not necessarily someone walks in and is like, oh, like they don't know what they want necessarily. They just know, ooh, shiny eyes, like big press. I want big press. I want a big dryer. I want this thing. You know what I mean? It's like, if you look at it in the sense of like, this for you will make you this money. Like this is a smart business decision because it is going to actually put money in your pocket rather than, oh yeah, this press will work.
Yeah. So I hate the word sell even, when we rebranded ROQ, and I was a big part of adding the tagline, your partner in print. And I don't want this to sound hokey because it's actually how I run the company, but I truly live by that. Right. So I look at us as business partners that provide tools. Right. Mm-hmm. And so our goal when we talk to anyone or go into anyone's business is 100% to show them that our equipment really isn't costing them anything. Hopefully it's making them money, right? And so,
well, that's the goal, but the problem is that's not always the case.
It's not. And I mean, sometimes you got to talk people down, right? So I can use myself as an example. Last week, the business I was at, when I talked about reducing their labor, right? What they wanted versus what they're ending up with are two different things, right? When I came in, it was, we need X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, let me come out to your business. Let me assess your operations. Let's look at your workflow. Let me understand what you're actually doing from a process standpoint. And we sold them less equipment because they didn't need what they thought they needed to accomplish, their labor reduction goals.
I've always seen that with t-shirts and stuff too, is you get these people, and it's sad to say, but you get these people who want to start a clothing line that take their tax return. They might get $6,000 in their tax return or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, I'm going to start the next clothing line. And the clothing line is their last name. And it's like, they come in and it's like two lions fighting each other or something. And it's like, dude, I'm a fucking, I'm going to sell these shirts. Right. It does sound sick. Well, anyway, they use their entire tax return when it's like, they have kids, they need it. They're driving this, piece of shit car here. And it's like, dude, I can't take your money. Like, I feel like you need to use this money for something else. Well, anyway, I come to them and they come in and they're like, oh, I want 200 of this lion shirt. I want 200 of this shirt. And it's just got my name on it that nobody knows what it stands for. All this other stuff. And it's like I look at them and I'm like, all right, I'm going to have this talk. And it's like, guys, how about you do 25 of this shirt, 25 of this shirt, 25 of this shirt. Let's dumb it down a little bit where you don't need the front, back, both sleeves, gold foil tags, fucking folded, bagged,
Dude, I know exactly
embossed.
who this customer is.
Yeah,
right.
I love it.
We all know who this customer is. And it's like, dude, all right, how about we just sell you the shirts? We'll do the neck tag. We'll make you look good. This will be whatever. You fold them, you fulfill them at home. Cause their first question too is like, oh, you guys offer fulfillment. Like, these are going to be flying off the shelves. And I'm like, yeah, but I charge for that. I charge for this thing. It's like, just fucking have one box of shirts at your home and mail them out once a week. Like, you can do this until you can't. So basically talk them down to where I might be taking like $1,500 instead of their full $6,000 or whatever. Because the thing is, with the same with you with the equipment, is what you want to see in this partner. What was it? Partnering to print or
partner and print, just
partner
business
and print.
partners,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I mean,
So
that's,
yeah,
it's
but what
basically
I'm
it
saying
means.
is like you're coming to them with a solution that gets them rolling and gets them making money, gets them happy. What you don't want to do is be like, oh, they're like, again, like, oh, well, my bank says I can borrow $10 million. First thing they're going to want to do is spend $10 million. I know, but what I'm saying is they'll come to you and be like, oh, I want this giant oval. I want this thing. I want this thing. But deep down, they're going under next year. Like they don't
tell
have enough
them-
work to
and
fill
we'll
this.
tell them, no, man. I've literally had people come in and I'm like, I will not sell you an auto.
Right.
There are other companies that will. If that's what you want, they all print shirts. I said, but you're not ready. And a lot of times my biggest question to people is, what's your goal? What's your
Right.
business model? What are you trying to do? Who's your customer? I mean, especially people that are newer to the industry. And a lot of times, if they can't answer those things, it's like, figure that all out and then call me back. Or go to another shop and see what they do and visit them and ask those questions and get to understand it,
I just feel like sometimes they need to start off small, because like what I was trying to get at with this is like, if you go into that shop you were saying and you sold them less equipment and they didn't spend as much money with you as they thought they were going to spend, they're going to see that. They're going to respect that. They're going to use the equipment you gave them with the expertise that you gave them of, you can get this work done with this and it'll be more efficient. It's better for you. I fucking do this all day, every day. I know what I'm talking about. Please trust me. And then when their business flourishes because they're using the right equipment, they're coming back and they will keep ordering stuff. What I don't want is, I don't want that guy to show up in his Honda Accord and order these shirts, and then I'll never see him again because he just blew all his money in one shot. So I can look at it as like, I can make $6,000 now, or I could sell him $1,500 worth of stuff now, and every month I'm going to get a $2,000 order until his clothing line eventually doesn't make it.
You have to look at it as a partnership. You can't look at that relationship as purely transactional. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
It can't be. And I mean, there's just I love to tout, like, we've had very few businesses go under during this hard time. I think that's a big deal. I think it shows a lot to the clients that have come into the brand and kind of the support that we give. We've really never had anyone flip out of the brand, a couple times, and for various reasons, but it's literally, I could count them on one hand, and we've got, thousands of pieces of equipment placed out in the US. I really do. I've built the company based off of that concept of partnership. And it's almost indicative of what you said earlier, Dylan, is I don't even care if you don't have our equipment. If you've got a business question or you need help, we're here to help. Like, I did this. I owned a printing company just like you guys do right now for years. I sold it. I'm on this side of the business now. I mean, for me, it's about the relationship. It's about this industry. It's about the industry being successful and everyone in it getting to take a piece of that, and for them to be successful. The last thing that happens in my world is, yes, we sell a piece of equipment, but to me, the industry means more to me than just what we do. Right. Totally. So that's really the premise of what we try to march towards. And, I mean, we've got a big team, so getting everyone on board with that vision and that mission, I mean, it's a constant, it's constant work, right? Because it's in my head. And I live and I breathe it. And so, we try to cascade that vision throughout the whole company, but that's our goal. And I don't want to see people get stuff that they don't need. It's hurtful. And I mean, these are people with families, they drop $200,000 on equipment that they don't need and then can't feed their kids. That's horrible.
Well, it goes back to the bubble thing we were talking about before, is it's like everyone gets wide eyed in the summertime when things are huge and flourishing. And it's like, oh, we got all this work. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to go out and buy that $200,000 piece of equipment. And then they're like, oh, right now, I'm looking at our numbers. We can afford this, $3,000 or whatever month payment it is. And then December hits and January hits and February hits. And you're like, fuck, I'm scraping together
Yeah.
to get that money, or I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul to make that press payment. And
Well,
it's like,
most of the time,
you
those
can't be doing that,
people
dude.
aren't solving the real problem, and that's what's interesting. And I said this: I spoke at the POD conference that Stall's put on, I don't know, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I had a big audience in there, and one of the things I said is, stop throwing money at equipment or at people to solve your problems. Take a step back. And I mean, what Lee's doing with his business is exactly what everyone should be doing.
Oh,
If
you
you
hear that, Lee?
think with a lean
thank you.
methodology, well,
He is
you're
so hard right
breathing
now.
it every day, right? So when you live with that lean methodology, when you're going in every day and you're 3Sing and you're really being critical about your business, you're going to end up with the tools that you need because you're going to know where your real problems are. It is the people that rush out because they're busy and then they add people or they add another press or they add this. And it's like, you may not have needed that. You may have needed to change something in your operational workflow. How many steps
Absolutely.
is this person taking from here to here? Can we shorten that?
Mhm.
Is that going to add value to your business? So when we go in to evaluate companies, and I always have to preface clients specifically when I come in, I tell them, have you ever seen the show Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay? So I'm going to come in, I'm not going to have a filter. I don't want you to take offense to anything that I say because I'm just here to help. But I'm going to look at everything you're doing, irregardless of what equipment or tools ROQ has that can help you. I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to scrutinize your operation, and it's going to help you. And anything I can do in here that helps. And to be frank, that's a lot of the value add that we bring to the table. It's not just the equipment. It's how's your building laid out? How's your shop laid out? How many steps are people taking? What processes are you doing manually that you shouldn't be? What are the easy ways to fix that stuff? And I would say a lot of times, the equipment's the afterthought. It's the going in. And I've got people that we've saved millions of dollars for.
I've
And it
heard
had
that.
nothing to do with just the equipment. It had to do with streamlining their operation.
I've heard that so many times. And the one thing I get asked all the time in like DMs and whatever is like, hey, I'm thinking about adding another press and this and this. And I'm like, well, what do you have like what's going on at the shop right now? Like what's happening? And it's like, oh, well, my guys are setting up and we're doing, X amount of jobs a day on this press or whatever. And I'm like, how does that work? Like you're doing 3 jobs a day on that press. I'm like, what's your setup time? They're like, well, it's taking us, about an hour and a half to set up every job. And I'm like, why? And then I'm like, you don't need another press. You need to get better at putting more jobs on that press daily. Yeah. And then you don't need another auto. And it's like, well, do you have a registration system? Well, yeah, we have a hammer on a wall that we like tap screens into registration. And it's like, oh, okay. Where are your inks? Are you carding shirts? Are you doing this? Are you having one person set up and take down? Do you have a pod of people? Like, what are the things you can change before you just throw money at a problem that you don't necessarily have? You know what I mean? It's like, rule number 1 is like, get a registration system. Like we have it here so good. Like, it's like, things come off the laser and they go on to Trilock, click, 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 boom. The whole job is set up in minutes. And it's like, we don't even put,
but you learn the problem and then you put your money where you needed it. And the laser probably made,
well, you got to think I can do
unbelievable buku of difference.
Well, not even just the laser. It could be any CTS in general. And it's like the laser I bring up because for me, it's been to the degree of, oh, I'm way better off now. Like I'm not off at all. And we don't even put registration marks on anything anymore at all, unless it's a sim process print where we want to see where we are. Now it saves us time in taping off the registration marks. It saves us time in setup because we literally are putting it in, click, click, click. If we're off barely. We micro it real quick. We do a test print and the job's set up and ready to go. And it's like, okay, cool.
We have some shops that don't even use tape.
Right.
No tape. Tapeless shops.
Straight to the
and I mean, just eliminating that step might eliminate.
But that's what I'm saying is we need to have something. And that's what I'm trying to do with Shirt Show. And this education part of this is I want to roll things out differently. Like with this website and stuff we're coming out with is I want to have these things in front of people that they just didn't know existed. And that's what 90% of the problem is. The problem isn't that they can't do the job. It's that they just don't know there's a better way to have a flow on a press. Like, we might look at this and be like, oh yeah, you can have this registration system, or, oh, didn't you know you can have this part here and there's a tool for this here where it's going to save your guys 300 steps a day, or this is going to happen, or this is going to happen. They just don't know it exists until someone like Ross walks in,
they don't even
or they
think
watch a
about
Lee
it sometimes,
video.
right? Like sometimes you think of such minuscule things. Like for us, like our first little dabble into lean was, I forget what it was. I think it was Shirt Hustlers last year. It was like, I think it was like Jeff Paul or someone talking about doing some efficiency stuff in a shop. And so I went and kind of dug around like what that was and what it meant. And I ended up finding lean randomly. And so my first little thing that we figured out was every day in our washout booth, we're cleaning screens all day. We're putting them on the ground, and this puddle is forming. And at the end of every single session of cleaning screens, we got this puddle we got to mop up. That takes around like 2-3 minutes to mop it up. I was like, all right, cool. So I sat there and I literally stopwatched the guy do it. And I started doing the math of like, hey, we do this every single day. How long is this eaten up every week and then every month and every year? And we calculated out after it was like 17 hours a year of man hours I was paying for him to mop the fucking floor and do like this stupid thing that could be fixed. And at the same time, I was like, you know, I still had a smaller staff back then. I didn't have a dedicated press operator or a dedicated recline guy yet. We were all kind of sharing tasks around there. So it's like every time this is happening, the press is not running. That's press in 17 hours. How much money can that thing make if it was running that entire time? And I was like, holy shit, like this is insane. So I was like, I got to fix this problem right now. You think it's a small little minuscule thing, 2 minutes a day. Everyone was like, hey, you know, that's nothing. Who cares? After you start doing the math and seeing where that time and money can go, it's like, holy shit, you need to fix this immediately. You fixed it with a $20 fucking silicone dog food mat. It was the quickest, simplest little fix. And then after that, it was like, okay, how can we start adding this everywhere through the shop? And for the last year, that's what we've been doing. We've been like becoming super analytical of every step of the process. Like we literally have it mapped out for, I think it's next week. We're doing like a whole event. We're going to just sit there on the press, like the whole team. We're going to shut everything else down. We're going to get granular of every step of the process, how it's being done right now, from how those screens are loaded, to how you're scraping ink out of them after you're done, to how the squeegees are coming off and on. And we're going to figure out like what is the most efficient possible way to get this done.
Right.
Because like that time over the course of a year and, you know, a staff of 7 people, what it can compound into, it could be tens of thousands of dollars we're leaving on the table.
Yeah. The nice thing about that too is like here we have multiple autos and we have multiple people running those autos and everything. And even within your own shop, you have some staff on one press that might take their squeegees and flood bars down one way. And then on the other press, they do it a different way, or they load ink first this way, or whatever they're doing. It could be anything to set up a job. You know what I mean? And then what I try to do with both of them is I'm like, okay, at some point, I'm going to time you loading a screen and taking it down, and I'm going to load you taking the screen down, and they do it different ways. And I'm like, okay, well, he was 10 minutes faster than you. And they're like, yeah, but this is how I've always done it. I'm like, okay, well, watch him and see how he does it. And you're like, oh yeah, that is better. That is faster. And it's like, okay, this is the new adopted method that Upstate uses for this. Like, why are we doing it 2 different ways? Like, you guys are both getting the job done, but this guy gets it done consistently 10 minutes faster. And it's because they haven't ever got together and been like, oh yeah, this is how I do it. And this obviously is faster. So I would say that too, like put your own people and be like, well, do we all do it the same way or do we do it differently? And time each other and be like, okay, well, this is better. The other guy might be faster because he's sloppier and his press has got ink all over it and shitty. That doesn't mean it's better. It just means he's sloppier and whatever. But you have to look at those things and be like, okay, realistically, this is the better method.
You really have to dissect processes and become super analytical about them. And once you do that, it's impossible not to become world-class over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, you made a point about like even the messy stuff. I mean, it brings up a huge thing. I was in a mega, again, it's just some of these companies are so huge, right? And you walk in,
you can't even see past their presses because they're just in a row.
No, here's the problem. These guys were using more tape than I've ever seen in any business, right? And they were that shop where the image is here on the screen, full tape,
man. Yeah.
right? Full tape. And I'm like,
it's because they're going so fast and there are pinholes everywhere and they don't stop to figure out the problems and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So I go into the dark room and they've got box fans on the sides of their racks on all their pre-coats. And there
Blowing
is
dust
about,
particles.
oh, dude, like an inch and a half of just gunk on the back of these fans.
Yep.
And it's like, what? And they're like, oh, we didn't know that was a problem. I'm like, well, the reason you're taping everything. So that one thing.
They're
of just
eliminating
cleanliness,
pinholes. Yeah.
save them tape, save them time, save them everything. And it's a simple thing just is being clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, a lot of people, they're not looking at that stuff. They're not going to that root cause of the issue and saying, wait, why do we have pinholes?
Mm-hmm.
And then going back through the process and understanding that, they're just okay with it.
The funny thing is this shouldn't be a sales thing or whatever, but it's something you learn when you automate something to be like, oh shit, this is actually saving. This is a savings we didn't know that even existed, which was, we're a very clean shop. Like I love and respect like how my guys handle everything out there. But even when we went from film to our first CTH, which was the eye image, we realized we didn't have a lot of pinholes, but we did have pinholes because you would get a fleck of dirt or something on like on a film, or you would have something on the glass when you put the thing down, and you would end up with a pinhole here and there just from, not every time the glass is perfectly clean or the film didn't get dust on it or whatever. We were just used to doing the test print, looking around, seeing if there's a pinhole, getting under the press, taping off the dot where, it blew out and everything else. And we'd be like, all right, cool, whatever, let's print the job. And then when we went to the CTS, where the eye image prints on the screen and then you load it into the exposure unit, but there's no glass because you have wet, inkjet on the back of the thing. So once we got rid of the glass and we didn't have film, we were like, fuck, we rarely ever have pinholes anymore. And we're like, cool. Like, not only do we not have jobs where, and it's always, Lee, you're going to know this too, is like the pinhole is always in the spot where you never see it. It's like on the edge of the pallet.
Yeah.
And we print the whole job, like 200 shirts, and you're looking at the pile and you're like, hey, there's a pinhole here.
And then
like,
you're
it's gotta
spending
only
an hour with
right,
the damn gun.
It's got to only be the top shirt. And you're going through and you're like, nope, it's every single one. And yeah, you have to have someone sit over there with a spot gun, every single pinhole on all of these shirts. And it's like, that alone is like one thing where you're like, oh, I didn't realize that going from film to CTS is going to eliminate this whole issue of having a pinhole or ruining a job. And it's worse even with a pinhole when you're doing discharge, because now all those shirts are ruined because you can't blow it out. It's gone. Yeah. Like the whole job has a hole now. It is what it is. You ruined all the shirts, or you reprint, or you just hope your customer doesn't see it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that, eliminating that step is so huge. And it's funny because it's not an equipment issue sometimes. Like you're saying in this case, they just don't care or know. They have box fans blowing dust around in a room that shouldn't have any dust.
Well, a lot of them get in that mentality. They got to just like turn and burn all the time, right? Yeah. All they're thinking about is how fast they can get jobs in and out the door, and they don't stop to solve these problems. They just like, all they're concerned about is turn time, and that's it. Where they think like, if I stop to fix this problem, I'm going to lose X amount of time or lose X amount of jobs and whatever. So that turns them away from it. And meanwhile, like it's the exact opposite.
And the other thing that drives me crazy with that are the shops that go over to like head one with the white or any of the ones, and they have the gallon bucket and the card, and they take out half the gallon and put it into head one in the white. And then ink is not only flying off the squeegee, it's crawled all the way up the squeegee. It's all over the arms. It's all over the frame and everything else. And they're like, yeah, but now I don't have to stop the whole job to add more ink. And I'm like, yeah, but now you have to card and wipe ink off of all these squeegees and flood bars, off the press arms, off the back of the frame, like everything else. Dude, it's like, no, those you are wasting.
Leave it. They leave it there, brother. They don't clean that stuff.
I know. That's true too. But I'm just saying that it creates so many more headaches down the road. Like you're passing the buck at that point. It's like, just fucking do it right the first time. Like you are not, there is a method to this. Like there's a reason why people do it this way. Like you're not cheating the system by being like, oh, I'm just going to throw a shitload of ink in. And then even that, like I've heard people who get nerdy into this stuff of being like, yeah, well, there's actually a ratio of ink you should put in the screen, because if you put too much, then the ink rolls instead of shearing off. And it's like, they don't care. They just fucking dump a gallon of ink in and hope for the best. And it's like, God damn, dude, like just stop for a second. Like Lee's saying, just take a day and like, let's go through every step of the process and agree as a team. Like, is this the best way to go about it? And if you have a question, go on something like Screen Print GPT or call a friend or whatever and be like, hey, we're running into an issue where on head 3, we don't know if we should, lower the choppers or we should up the pressure or we should do this or do that. Like my team is debating what's the best method. And it's like, just fucking ask somebody. Like, don't just think, oh, we know the answer and go. Like, research it a little bit.
This is where that collaboration, I think, comes back into is go find those best in class businesses and go tour them, see what they're doing. I mean, this isn't about giving away our secrets or stealing people so everyone's worried about something.
You talking to some other shop about correct pressures on your press is not going to get them more business.
Yeah. No.
Like, fucking grow up. Help somebody.
I think, and we need to do a better job. I feel like, on retooling our education. So a lot of, we've been doing education at trade shows for bukus of years, and it's all this process stuff, how to do sim, how to do this, how to do that. We need some more like best practices, like teaching and better video of operational workflow that people can actually just sit on YouTube, watch. Oh shit, I didn't realize, my dryer needs to be here instead of here because, I'm taking an extra second and a half every time I unload a shirt. We don't talk enough about that. We don't talk enough about how to build a business. We talk a lot about art. We talk a lot about screen printing and the art of how to do the process, but we do not talk nearly enough about how to run a company effectively. What is lean manufacturing, right? I mean, we do it at ROQ.
But the other thing with the lean stuff is there's so much to it that you don't have to dive in head first. Like Lee knows this. Like you can take some of it and you don't have to take all of it. Like you don't 100%. Have to be like, I'm trying so
hard not to say that's what she said right now.
I'm trying not to say that's what she said, but I'm also trying not to offend anybody. But there's certain things with lean that just I can't get behind, where it's like you spent all day cutting foam to have a place to put scissors or a pen. And it's like, or the going into the deep part of the weeds with that. Or there's just like, hey, like you said, I found out that I can eliminate this, and this by putting down a dog food thing on the floor or whatever it was to eliminate this water mess. Or like Ross said, of like, oh, if your dryer is this far away from your press, you're going to save X amount of steps per day. Or, the flow of the shop is in shipping, receiving into this part printed. And the natural flow of the shop is that they go one way. Like there's no, I go back and forth all day long. Like it's stuff like that. That's like, yeah, we should adopt this. Or like the Kanban system of like having a card with a QR code of like, that shit is just smart. Like you can adopt just the Kanban system. Like you don't have to have the rest. Like just start somewhere. Cause I feel like it's so overwhelming where people are like, oh, I have to lean this. And it's one of those things of like, I have to read a book this thick.
It's something that's
rather
done
than
over
just
time.
being like, right. It's just adopt one thing.
More people need to just understand the concept. I think that's where we're lacking is like, once you can agreed, you've got to step into it. You can't do it all at once. You'll ruin your culture. It can do a lot of harm, right? But understanding the concepts at the base level. So as a business owner, when you walk into your production area, you're thinking about that stuff is the first step. And I just don't think that we have enough people that are thinking about that. It's just something that's missed. I mean, you say Kanban, there's probably a ton of people that have no clue what you just said. And that's okay, but go Google it because Kanban's huge. The biggest thing, and I mean, I remember this and I didn't understand these concepts. We'd be printing at, 6:00 at night, trying to get a rush order out, and all of a sudden we're out of white. And I'm freaking out. If I understood Kanban, I would have never ran out of white.
If I was to give someone in production like that, just a number one thing that I see at places that just blows my mind is exactly what you just said. Like there's so many shops that are in year 1 to 5 or whatever that are like, oh, we ran out of this color and we have to wait 3 days until the ink comes back in to print this job. It's like,
unacceptable.
Dude, quit fucking around. Get 2 of everything.
Yep.
just get 2 of everything. If you have an
And
ink
then
mixing
when
kit
one
system,
is gone,
you order the replacement, but you always have one behind it that's brand new.
That's
you
how
never
we
have
operate.
one of anything. You have
We've
2
got
of
it on a
everything.
Kanban system where we have at least 2 of everything, sometimes even more, right? Where
Right.
first
Well,
one
especially like
out,
white, black, the things you
like
use every
white,
day.
black,
Don't
whatever,
have
all our
one.
mixing colors are on
Right.
that, like our, adhesives and things like that, threads, embroidery backing, all that shit is on there. And we have order thresholds for everything. So sometimes like for an ink, it's like 2, let's say a mixing color, it's like 2 gallons. We have it on hand at all times. We'll have that Kanban attached to that second one with a QR code on it so that whoever grabs that thing and you can physically cannot open that next bucket without removing that card. Your job is to pull out your phone, scan the QR on that card, then that QR
Sends you an
triggers
email or whatever.
me an email that triggers something on a Monday board that says, here's this new supply that I need to order when we order all our stock on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, and like,
Smart.
that's super complex and complicated to get into from a ground floor. But my biggest thing with lean, like if you're going to get into it, start picking off the lowest hanging fruit first, man. Start off with the simplest shit. Like I said, with those dog food mats I threw down, that was like the first thing we fixed that solved a huge problem. And it was like a 10-minute fix. Then work up to eventually Kanbans and big SOPs and things like that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be all at once. Like I said, even with your thing, it could be a QR code that just sends you to the website of the person to order. Like you might be a 2-man shop. You don't need to have like send an email to this and this and this. Like you could, it's great. Like send yourself an email to say reminder to order red, but it could just take you to the manufacturer's website where you just place the order right then and there. Like just start somewhere and do it. And I don't know. Well, anyway, this leads me into Lee. I respect you in a lot of ways, but like one thing that I see from your videos or just knowing you online is like how deep you dive into processes or designing something to make it look good or your website or being like, oh, well, I just went out and bought a sticker maker setup. And then you're like, I just spent the last like 72 hours watching this thing and learning this thing. And now I know it. You know what I mean? Like, what are some software or something you're seeing coming out? And Ross, you kind of touched on this a little bit, is like, what are some things that a lot of people don't have or should implement, or even something as simple as like Monday? Like, how is that helping you?
I think the biggest thing shops should implement on a day-to-day basis is readily available SOPs on stuff. So we around the shop have QR codes again. We have QR codes like everywhere in there now, which is crazy. Which like, a couple of years ago, I had no idea what a QR code even fucking did. So we have all our SOPs attached to a QR code, no matter where you're at. So if you're at the ink mixing station, there's a QR code there saying scan this to learn how to mix ink. If you're at the computer to get the formula for that, there's another QR code to tell you how to operate that system. Like there's QR codes everywhere in there that are attached to SOPs. That was the biggest game changer in my shop that I implemented by a long shot. Because now I can throw basically any employee in any task, whether it's complex or simple, it doesn't seem to matter. And they can figure out how to do it for themselves within, 5-10 minutes, which is awesome.
And I've seen you, I saw a video of your one goofy dude that you have running the auto.
He was perfect for it.
I think you were like, yeah. And it was fun. It's funny the way like he's portrayed in your videos, but it's like, you were like, hey, I'm not going to tell you how to do this at all. Scan the code and just like, it's a perfect test. It's like, hey, I want you to scan this and do everything it says, and we'll see how it comes out.
Yeah, he is.
And it was pretty successful.
He's the hardest one here to drill information into. Like he's been here a year now. At that point in that video, he was like brand new still. So he was even worse back then. So I was like, you are the perfect candidate for this, for me to test my SOP out on. And he figured it out. And then now that we have new employees coming in, we don't have to train that at all. I don't have to spend any time with them whatsoever. All I have to tell them is that code on that table scans how to do that or pulls up how to do that job. And then we've now systemized, well, we didn't like create anything. We just kind of shifted platforms on how we do the SOPs to make creating them even more efficient now. So originally I was doing it all on like Google Docs, things like that, which works really well. It's a free solution. I think that's probably the best one to get into it with. But as you're creating more and more and more, a paid solution is definitely much better. So we shipped it over to a company called Gemba Docs, which is, they come from the lean space, and it creates SOPs fast, like super fast. And it gives all the employees on staff the ability to create them for themselves. It gives them the ability to suggest edits to me to current SOPs if they have maybe a better solution that's listed. It's one of the most powerful things we've implemented recently over the past like 2 months. And I've seen just how much my employees have like gravitated towards this thing now. So I'm seeing like new SOPs pop up like every couple of days that they've created for themselves, because I always tell them, like, if you do some kind of new process or whatever, or if somebody's helping you out on a job that you had to explain to them, maybe just make a quick SOP, pull out your phone, you can snap a couple pictures, throw it in that little app real fast, and it takes 10 minutes, and then no one ever has to ask again. And we've seen just it shows analytics in there, and we've seen a massive uptick in just how many SOPs have been created over the past couple months. And now the amount of questions I get asked on a day-to-day basis is minimal, which is awesome because it keeps me focused on the things that I need to be focused on, which is growing the business.
That's cool. You guys are doing that.
I got that from you guys because you guys had sent me a couple SOPs way back when. You guys had SOPs for everything, basically. I saw SOPs on how to fucking crate stuff, how to do like different stuff on the press and whatever else. And one of the guys, I remember I was replacing one of the drive belt gears on my press, where you actually had to like take the whole press arm off and whatever. And they wanted to send a tech out for it. I was like, no, I'm a motorcycle mechanic, man. I got this. Don't worry about it. And so he sent me the SOP anyways, just to check it out and whatever else. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. A little step-by-step guide here. And I started going through it or whatever. I was like, man, I need to do some of this in the shop here. Like, I feel like this is something that would maybe help us in certain ways. So the first thing was the ink mixing department, because that's a simple task that anybody can do, but there was no instructions on how to do it. And as soon as we had those instructions, I never had to think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually started to even take it to the client level. So like all of our dryers now come with QR codes on the side. So any employee that works at a shop that's got one can walk up, scan it. It takes them to a video on how to clean the filters, right? How to take care of the dryer. We've got them on folding lines now on how
Ross,
to
I
change the
just
plastic.
I want to say thank you.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge,
that was
man.
the thing I was going to bring up is twofold in this is I've asked for years for instructional videos for internal, for us as printers, of just a QR code on the dryer of this is how we pull the filters out, and this is how this is a good way for you to clean it. Like, you can vacuum it, or you can blow it out with compressed air. You could do this, you could do that, or hey, don't do this, or hey, you know what's another thing about dryers and presses is they take two different grease. There's a grease for a dryer and there's a grease for the auto. Like, how many people just have one grease gun with lithium grease in it that do everything? And you shouldn't be putting lithium grease in the dryer because it's going into the, it's not what you should be doing. And it's kind of like, why is there not a video on this of this is the proper way to go about doing this whole setup? Or even just the maintenance on the dryer of like, I would like to scan a code and be like, well, take this panel, this panel off, take the exhaust duct off, get in, vacuum this. Do not stick your arm into this because it will get stuck. Like shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like, why does this not exist? And the one that makes me want to pull my hair out more than anything is no one ever tells you how to properly uncrate something. Like, you get a crate in, say I bought I don't know, even an auto for me. Like, I'm in a shop where I can't have a forklift. Everything is like thought of that you're in this like perfect warehouse facility, ground level, forklifts can do all this and this. And it's like, I bought the G3 where the center section is like 6,000 pounds. Like, had to have it, brought up on a forklift, brought into the building, pallet jack to where it goes. And it's like, cool. How the fuck do I get this thing off of the pallet? You know how? I get 4 car jacks. I jack it up over here. I saws out this corner, pull it out, drop this end down. It's like, that could kill somebody.
Yeah. I have a
that
whole
could straight
video
up
on that.
Crush me.
My dryer, I have a video of me straight up with like car jacks and a chainsawing out parts of the pallet out from underneath it.
But why is there not thought into that from the manufacturer's side of like, hey, I know we're creating this for protection and safety and this, but it's like, why is there not like a little, like even a spray paint fucking stencil or something of like, cut here or like move here, or like if you had to remove, like, here's a video how you should do this with a pallet jack. Here's a video how you should do this if you don't have a forklift. Like, this is how you should properly disassemble this without hurting yourself or hurting the equipment or whatever. Like, I've got things here where I've uncrated and I've taken it all apart. I'm proud of myself of like, cool, I got this done. And then I call the manufacturer and I'm like, hey, I'm ready for you. And they're like, oh, you didn't remove this part of the crate, did you? And I'm like,
I think that would be a
why
big,
was I not told?
What we try to tell people is, please don't touch anything. We will come take care of it for you. There has been circumstances where people have had to uncrate for space.
But that's the thing is, like, most shops Most shops that are the, the $1 to $3 million or whatever shops that are in a smaller facility, or they're trying to get something in a doorway, like they have to uncrate it.
Yeah.
They have to get it in, or they have a crane fucking picking it up to the third floor of a warehouse building. It's like,
well, if my marketing team's listening to this podcast, I'm totally going to come off of this and we're going to make some crating videos. So
dude, 100%. I'm serious. Like, if you guys could make SOPs on like all of your equipment, like anything, it could be like
a huge value add
right,
for both sides of the fence,
massive.
right? If you were
we're
able to
working on a trouble tree. I know from like a service end, it's a big thing that we're working on, and we've been writing a crazy amount of SOPs. I mean, Lee, you kind of mentioned you had one of them, or on what you were working on. The goal eventually is that where I want to get to is I want to have a ROQ AI tool that customers can log into, and the AI will actually troubleshoot. So the idea is us.
Well, that's screenprintgpt.com.
We were straight up talking about this before he came on.
Right.
Exactly this
Get
thing.
all the SOPs, feed it all the information, and maybe that is through Screenprint GPT.
Give it to Marcotte, and it'll be on there, and you can go in and search all the SOPs for ROQ all in one place.
Yeah. I think that'd be a big value add, like I said, for both sides of the fence, like for your customer and for yourselves, right? Even just like, maybe not down to the uncrating stuff, because some people I don't think you should trust with that. But as far as maintenance and dryer setup and, how to run the control panel and all that kind of stuff.
Easy troubleshooting. Yeah.
Easy
all
stuff,
the
right?
easy, like, yeah.
It empowers your customer to kind of handle that stuff for themselves. And it's like, this is a cool customer service aspect for me. And then for you guys, that's less, tech support stuff that you guys got to shell out at the same time, right? It's huge.
But again, it could be one of those things like we were talking about before, Ross, where you were saying education wise, the dryer should be X amount of feet from the press, or it should be this, or it should be that. In those SOPs or in those short videos, it could also be educational of like, well, here's some tips and tricks that you might be able to use or might not be able to use, like, hey, if you're at this part of the dryer and this thing happens, like you can save this amount of time by doing this. Or, hey, also this dryer has a built-in donut probe where you can test your cure temps. And we recommend you should try to do this every quarter or every season or whatever, so that we can make sure that your dryer temps are correct. Or if your humidity changes significantly, like run the donut probe and try this. And it's like,
you mean that would eliminate all those calls we get in the winter that our dryers are broken?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, for real, I'm not trying to make fun of that, but like, really,
it's true.
They
it's
just don't know. They don't know until they're told, like, hey, well, the humidity in your room will affect how your screens are dried. Or, there's people that all the time are like, have issues with screens. And it's like, well, what do you have a dry room or a wet room? Or are you immediately coating all these screens and then going home for the evening and coming back and burning screens? And you're noticing that same night you're having issues with things being underexposed. It's like, well, all the dry screens that you had in that room now are wet again because it absorbed all the moisture from all the screens that you coated earlier. Like, that's why you're having issues. But they don't know until they find that out, that, oh shit, I'm screwing myself. It's like that shop with the box fans. They honestly probably had no idea they were harming their screens. They just thought they were quick drying their screens with airflow. And it's like, you should not have box fans on drying screens. Like, you should not be doing that. But they don't know until they're told by someone trustworthy, hey, I shouldn't do this.
This is where we should just have like a panel symposium one day, man. That's just like 8 hours where people can just come in and ask all these crazy questions, and we get a group of people to start. That's the kind of education we need.
But that's what I'm trying to do with Shirt Show, is like, it kind of building off of the shop hacks thing, where it's like one place that has, on the website, that has every shop hack anyone can give us or submit or whatever, and you can just search it, or it's all one thing. It's like, how do we just make it at some kind of education hub? How do we get all these people that nerd out on screen printing involved? How do we get it as just one place to go to instead of 30 websites to go to? Or I got to pay some consultant that says he knows what he's talking about to come in here for $10,000 to tell me some shit I could have learned on the internet in an hour. Like, what do we do? And back to the SOP thing real quick is like, Lee, how are you not making SOPs that are pretty much basic for anybody and selling them
We are.
to where they can just take that video and be like, well, this is my QR
give
code
it
now.
away for free,
Yeah,
Lee. Give it away.
We're giving a lot of it away. That's for sure. I'm going to start kind of giving a ton of it away in videos and stuff. And I'm kind of working on something similar, like what you said, where we're, cause I've been doing like the coaching stuff. I tend to coach clients like that are, you know, $1 million and under, kind of in that sales category, right? Guys that are getting started and trying to build a bigger business. And so we're building kind of like a hub for those guys that will have a lot of that information and stuff on there that will make it readily available to pretty much everybody. But it's hard to make some of the SOPs widespread because some of them are just so tailored to your shop and your processes, right?
100%. But there's got to be some where it's like, you know, something stupid. Like, again, I feel like the manufacturer should be the one doing the stupid ones where, and I'm sorry if I'm saying stupid, but like say you were an emulsion company, there should be a QR code on every gallon of emulsion that's like, this is how you properly stir and store this stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like,
so
do you
smart,
have
man.
Diazo? This is how you properly fill it. You should use distilled water. You should keep the Diazo, or you should keep the gallon in this temperature room. You shouldn't throw it on the concrete in your dark, cold fucking dark room. Like, you know, these are things that people find out the hard way. Or you see people like filtering Diazo fluid through a coffee filter before it gets to their emulsion because they're having like spec issues and whatever. And it's like, why is there not
cost
just
upgrade for them that would like alleviate so much pressure on
the
everybody?
The customer service relief.
All they
you would
do
have
is
people
cycle
not
out
being
their
like,
current-
oh, this gallon's ruined. Like, why this emulsion sucks? What's this issue? What's this issue? It has nothing to do with the emulsion. It has to do with the fact that you just pulled it off of fucking 20-degree concrete and you put water that's full of minerals and town water shit in your fucking Diazo.
Yeah,
like, it has nothing to do with what you just got. It has to do with how you treated it.
And a lot of them already make a lot of this information, but they make it hard to find, which is like, you know, think of like Wilflex, for example. Like every single ink they make has a data sheet, but you have to go and search for that thing. Why don't you
pull
just
out a binder?
Why don't you just cycle out your current round of labels that are going on those buckets and add a QR code on the next batch when you make them? And now you've got that thing
think if you're in the
available
dark
to
room and
everybody.
on your table is your bucket of emulsion, and right here is your auto coder or you're coding by hand, and you're like, I'm having these issues. Everyone has a phone in their pocket. They go to the gallon, they scan the code, they go down the list. It's like troubleshoot tips, and they click on this thing, and it's like, okay, cool, I'm back in business.
Yeah.
They don't have to call up a manufacturer and get someone on the phone, and they're like, well, did you turn it off and turn it back on? And it's like, oh my God. That's like anytime you call tech support,
Episode of
they're
South
like,
Park when the internet's broken.
yeah, dude, my favorite, and I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus or say which manufacturer it is, but you sit on hold, you finally get a tech on the phone, which it's like a round robin version of text. It's not one guy every time. They won't give you their phone number because they don't want to hand out their personal cell where you're calling them at 2 a.m. You call the service. So the first thing they say is, did you turn it off and turn it back on? You're like, okay. And then they're like, well, I think it might be this wire and this wire. Pull out your tester and test it and then call us back. And you're like, oh, okay. You get out, do the tester. It does what it's supposed to do. And then you call back and you're on hold for 45 minutes till you get a tech again. And then it's a different person. And then you have to be like, the first tech told me to turn it off, turn it back on, hold these 2 wires. This is the result I got. What do you think? And he's like, well, did you touch these 2 wires? And you call me back. And it's like, dude, I will stab you. Like, fucking just like, what is it? You know what I mean? But like, if I had a QR code thing where my dryer is throwing up a thing that's saying,
skip those first like 5 steps,
right?
Just
like
do on your own.
Oh, hey,
when you call in, it's like, okay, I did the thing. Here's where we're at. None of it worked. Yeah,
right. And it's like, sense. Are you getting a flame signal error on your thing? Well, this is the top 5 results that we constantly have to tell people. Your flame rod is gross and needs to be sanded down, or this wire is probably loose, or check these or whatever. And it's like, I just want a quick way to get to it. I don't want to have to read through an entire manual. I don't want to have to call tech support and go through the rigmarole. I just want to do it quick and easy. So me and Lee are pushing really hard for you, Ross, to like have a department of a dude that just sits there all day and makes these fucking codes.
Yeah, we've gotten started. So we've definitely we're on our way, and we're going to continue to develop that constantly. So it's been awesome, man. I mean, the reception on having that kind of stuff, it's great. It helps us. It helps the consumer. So we'll keep chopping away at it.
Okay. I do want to ask you one more thing and then I'll let you go. I just saw your text come in, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to get into something and then have you have to bail right in the middle of it.
No. I can be a little flexible there.
Okay. All right. I
have
do
to
want to ask you about your guys' partnership with Grimco and how that affects people as far as you guys being more available.
Yeah. So, I mean, exciting news, I think for us in the industry. Grimco, just, picked up GSG, which is really exciting. Jared and I, very, very close, and have been for a long time. I mean, we all know each other, right? So this isn't, like new relationships being created, on a dime. Grimco is just postured in an amazing place for the industry and bringing on GSG. I mean, you're talking 70 plus locations nationwide that, when we're talking about Kanban, when we're talking about getting stuff on time, I mean, they're going to be in a position to really help everyone out and kind of in every nook and cranny too, which I think is interesting. The folks, and Lee, I know for you even, it's probably a little harder where you're at.
Yeah.
Getting consumables and things, and we deal with that here too. I mean, people in the middle of nowhere in Michigan or Milwaukee or I don't know, weird Iowa, right? These kind of off the path places where we have printers everywhere, is going to be awesome. The partnership with them and with GSG, it's opened us up to help everyone. We're doing a lot of cross training right now across the brands. We're we are in a really just exciting spot, I think, to help the entire screen print community and really leverage all the relationships that we've got together to continue to, yeah, almost like the mantra, man, be a partner in print, right? I mean, we're very aligned from a value perspective. um, all of our companies and our missions and visions are aligned. So I think just going out there, continuing to educate people. I think it's a scary thing in the industry, right? This was big news, obviously. We got a lot of customers of GSGs out in Texas and Oklahoma and the surrounding areas. And Jared's put together a great plan. We're working together to make sure everyone continues to feel an amazing amount of support, through the transition from a customer standpoint. It's obviously, number one, and make sure that they've got all the support that they need, to continue to grow their businesses and move forward.
Right.
Just because brands change color doesn't mean that support's not there. And I think that that's the biggest thing that people need to understand is the values of the companies that they're working with haven't changed, aren't changing. I think they're very strong. We're all very aligned. And we're going to make sure that people, don't feel this in a negative way. They feel it in a positive way.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with that is like I'm all for anything that's getting things more streamlined and more education and more, industry forward, not just like everyone for themselves. And I think when we get one bigger network of all of these people coming together, it's a lot easier for that to happen.
Yeah, I
brings a lot more people
associate
closer.
this almost with Long Beach. Anyone who's ever been to Impressions Long Beach and has been to our booth, it's not a ROQ booth. It's an industry booth. And what I've done in that space is I've brought all those partners together in one room, one place. You have software, hardware, consumables.
I
You've
have
got
always
everything.
noticed that it is one room of a collaborative group of people that all could work together, not just this booth is us. Everyone else can kick rocks, basically.
Yeah, and I did that intentionally. I wanted a place where people can come and get all the solutions for their business, get all the help that they need, and in one place. We got Kevin Baumgart in there that's teaching people how to sell with sales, right? I mean, we had all these different people, and you could really hang out. And I see that a lot with our distributor partners, right? So we have a pretty big network, and everyone plays together, and we're all there to help our customers move forward. And it just gives all of those customers a larger resource, right? I mean, it's a lot of resource that they get when they're talking to us and that network. And it's not just an equipment, it's your consumables, it's blanks. I mean, we'll throw those introductions out to everyone. And to me, this is just about growing a community of like-minded people that want a successful industry. And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
we've got to get away from all the brand, frankly, in our world, they all print shirts well. There's a lot of different brands out there, right? So it's not a thing.
I was going to say the exact thing is like, we just want to print shirts. And that's the thing with me in my own shop. Like, it has nothing to do with the show or whatever. Is like, I just want to print shirts, and I want to learn from people who have better, quicker, better tips than I have. Like, I want to constantly be absorbing knowledge from people to be like, cool. I don't have to like bang my head off the wall constantly and be like, why am I not doing this? Why does this print look like this? Like, I just want to collab with everybody all the time and like make
and that's
it
where
better.
I feel
I
like
just
our
want to print
team
shirts.
just got bigger and got stronger, right? So we've added an accumulative, 200 years worth of experience, within the GSG team coming into Grimco, that
Right.
team already being where they're at, and now we can all work together to make that even more than I think what it was. And again, I think it all just comes to that alignment. We're not competing with each other. We're all on the same page, and we're going to move forward and help these clients out. So I'm thrilled, really excited
That's
about
awesome.
it. And I know Grimco has been ecstatic, and Jared's in a great place. And, obviously there's change, with acquisition, with merger, there's always going to be change. I think change is scary. And,
well, it's just like we were talking about earlier with, doing what's right for the business to get it to perform well and be better in the long run. With same within our shop as it is within other manufacturers. They got to do the same thing.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
It is. Lee, do you have a quick question for Ross before we'll let him go, and then me and you can talk about
I don't think he has time for my question, probably.
What is it, dude? No, hit me with it. Come on. Let's go.
I had a question that I wanted to circle back to a while ago, because we've been talking like a lot about you visiting these big gargantuan shops and things like that, doing, tens of millions of dollars in sales, which is incredible. However, it's the little guys. So like I tend to put a lot of my focus in there, where that's who's asking me the most questions. The guys that are, $200,000 to $500,000 in sales, things like that. Since you've been on both sides of the fence now for a very long time, and you know this industry well, what would you say to those guys? Like, what is the smartest investment for them to make in their business, whether it's equipment, whether it's time, whether it's resources, learning, whatever, for them to break past that, to hit and get past that $1 million ceiling? Because I know for me, it was very difficult and took a lot of bumps and bruises and fucking around. And those guys might want to get there a little easier
too, brother. Right. So yeah, it's the best investment that anyone can make. And this is going to sound hokey, and it's not intended to be, but it's in yourself, right? It's in your education. It's in constantly pushing yourself forward from a business perspective. And I want to be really clear about that. The first thing that any sub $1 million shop owner in this space should not be doing is printing. Stop printing. Run a business.
Absolutely.
Best business book on the face of the planet to get there is The E-Myth Revisited. That book changed my life when I read it, and it goes into how you get out of being all things to everyone to really focusing on your superpower and focus on being the entrepreneur that's growing your company, right? I think that hump is hard to cross because you have so many business owners that are slow to relinquish control. So you've got to be okay with letting go. Listen to the Frozen song over and over and over again until it like drives into your head. But you've got to let go. You've got to trust other people. You need to focus on yourself, and you need to focus on the actual business. Don't work in your business, work on your business. And I think that that's a place where, small business owners get really lost in. And it has to do with not being able to let go of control. It has to do with not being well read. It has to do with not looking outside of the industry for business help. Some of the most influential people in my life do not come from our space.
Yeah.
They come from other spaces, and I've learned business practices from them. I've brought those into my companies. So, find a cohort of people that you can really trust and rely on, that push you, that hold you accountable, that make you a better business person, and let go and focus on growing that company, and you will be successful.
Yeah.
And but if you can't do those things, you will be stuck and you will be miserable. And this is what I always tell people: at that size, it's a shitty place to be stuck and miserable, because you're probably taking home somewhere around 100K, maybe if you're lucky, but most likely you're dumping more money back in the business.
Yeah. You're
Hell,
robbing
man,
Peter to pay Paul.
I'd much rather go work for the man to make that 100 grand and sit and press a button or sit in front of a
Hell of a lot
computer and
easier.
not have any responsibility, not have all the weight and pressure of making sure you're putting food on the table for your employees. It's a tough grind, but that's why you have to get out of working in it.
Yeah.
Because that's where that grind is. It's you thinking you need to print every shirt or approve every job or look at every piece of graphic design work that comes in. Automate all that shit. Outsource it. And that's the other thing we don't do enough of, is outsource. There's companies out there that'll do your art, that'll do your steps. It's
Just focus on what you're good
The
at.
simple
Like,
stuff,
let
man.
the other stuff go.
focus on the superpower. Hopefully the superpower is selling things. I think, that if you suck at selling, go find someone that can do it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be number one, but too many people just don't focus on themselves.
I think the biggest thing for me was, I feel like the $1 million and under, and this isn't for everybody, but for a lot of screen shops, I feel like, is the punk kid that started to realize he can make money selling t-shirts and whatever. I feel like from $1 million and under, it's a lot of loosey goosey. It's kind of like, okay, well, like Ross was saying, of like, okay, I have to print the shirts, but also I'm coding screens, and also I'm doing this, and I got to heat press this, and I got to run down to UPS, or I got to do this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. And it's like, you never go into the day with a solid plan. You're
no
just
plan.
Constantly putting out fires all day long.
Literally just throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks every
right.
day.
And then also on top of that is like, okay, you hire 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people or whatever it is. And then you're like, okay, well, I have no HR. I have no rules in place. I have no official job descriptions. Everyone's just like, I hired them and I'm like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this task. And then they're just there now. And like, you make them a paycheck, but they really don't know what the rules are. They don't know. There's no rules and regulations if they're late. There's just no structure to anything other than listen to the guy who pays your bills.
And what I'd tell every single one of those people, think about every job you had in your life before you started your company. When you got hired, what did that look like? And how do you take what you've learned, because you've done it before, you were on the hiring end or the being hired end of it. How do you take those practices, whether you worked at McDonald's or Nordstrom or Circuit City? I know a lot of us in this industry.
Circuit City.
I've met a lot of. I was a Circuit Cityer. I've met some.
You
fellow
are showing.
Circuit City people.
You're showing age right now with the Circuit City.
Sorry, but take those practices. When you were onboarded to those places, you got a handbook. You watched some videos. You read SOPs. They had a week's worth of training. Why don't we do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Your business is a business, just like Circuit City or Sears, whatever.
But
right?
the truth of it is that when you add those things, it seems like you're not necessarily selling out or doing this or the other thing. You're making your life so much easier, almost to the point where before you have those things and you have to fire somebody or let them go, it's the worst because it's just a conversation between you two. But if you have all these things in place that you're supposed to have, like the onboarding stuff, the HR stuff, or just even the job description, they fire themselves because they're not doing what they signed up for. Like, all you have to do in that sense is hold up the piece of paper and be like, this is what your job is, and this is what I'm paying you for, and you're not doing this one, this one, this one, and this one. Like,
well, and frankly, if you do all those things, you're going to have a better culture out of the gate.
Oh, for
sure. You're going to have someone who wants to stay with you, because people need structure.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you like it or not, they need it.
Whether you like it or not, they need structure. They need direction. They want to know that they're doing a good job. They need praise. Like, these are basic needs of human beings. we all need it, right? So you have to create that environment. And again, I think a lot of times at that small scale, it's fun. You own your own first company, you're balling, you got your EIN, you're doing your thing, and you just lose sight. And you probably start out by hiring a friend or hiring a family member, which
It's
if
the
you
worst.
have to, you have to, but I wouldn't do it. I mean, the first person I fired at my last company was my brother-in-law because it was the dumbest decision I ever made. I love him to death, but like he shouldn't have been working with me. And so, they just have to take it seriously. And this is why I said earlier in the episode, business education, that we don't do enough of, that we need to do more. I'm going to take some responsibility there myself and say, hey, I sit here and I've sat on many podcasts and I've talked about this. I need to do more about it. And we're trying by developing partnerships with people like Kevin for selling. And, we've got some other, we try to push people into things to help them out.
I know a
But
good
it's
guy who
on
can help with that video
business owner.
stuff.
I do too. He's sitting on this podcast, right? But we need to do more of that. We need to help people more. And then people need to be self-sufficient and go get resources, right?
Yeah.
Read a book. Now, don't live by it.
We just left it at that. Read a book. All right, Ross. We'll see you later.
Just read a book.
Honestly, that is super good advice. Like, seriously, put a business book of any kind beside the shitter and leave your phone on the table. Yeah. That alone is going to advance you so much every day.
They're all going to teach you something. And I tell people too, please don't read a book and take it as gospel.
You just told us to read a book. Now you're telling us not to read a book.
What I'm telling you to do is read a shitload of books.
What you're saying is do audiobooks. Reading's for losers.
I don't care how you read. Do an audiobook. Watch it on YouTube. It doesn't really matter. But, these things, there's so many takeaways that you're going to learn that you can bring into your business. You can bring into your team. I'm a big proponent of Vistage too, man. I've been a member for 4 years now. A group of 16 CEOs in my group, no one else in our industry. So these are all just other industries, banking and manufacturing.
Well, it's a masterminds group. Just look for one in your area.
I think it's CEO therapy is what I call it. And it's because you're going to deal with problems. That first person you have to fire. If you have a group that you can go to and you can be like, how do I approach this? I don't have an HR department. I'm scared. I don't want to get sued. I don't want this. You'll have people that have been there. They've done it. And they're going to give you good advice and you're going to feel confident. And then they're going to hold you accountable to it too. And I think that, that's taking the business seriously and that's investing in yourself. I'm always learning. I don't have everything figured out.
Never.
I'm always going to be growing. I'm always going to be learning. And I'm going to always be trying to achieve to do something better. And that is where people need to invest. And it's the cheapest place to invest is in yourself, right? That's almost free.
Look at all that motivation right at the end.
That's fucking fantastic answer. I'm not going to lie.
Ross, I'll let you go. I know you got places to be. Me and Lee will finish off the goofy stuff. I really appreciate you getting on here and doing this. It's been a long time coming. I do want to talk to you later about some other stuff, but I appreciate you taking the time,
having me, man. And Lee, it was great to see you, brother. I'm impressed actually with the limited amount of fucks that we've said on this show. So I'll throw that in at the end.
Real quick
I was expecting a little bit more there. So no, I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate everyone out there listening. Anyone ever wants any help or needs anything, we are here. Give us a call. You don't have to be buying equipment. You could just have a question on something we talked about on this show. Happy to help people out. So appreciate you for having the show to get this information out there. You guys have an awesome rest of your day.
Cool.
Thanks, y'all.
Later, dude.
Later, man. Sweet.
Hey, it's just us. Hey, bud, it's just us.
I have time to go take a piss.
Yeah, go take a piss real quick and then come back. I want to ask you a couple questions. I
drank this whole thing. I was pinching it off for the last 30 minutes.
I've just been pissing on the floor. It was a wet spot.
Got one of those football things where they got the little fucking hose going down your leg and into your sock or whatever?
No, I just arc it.
All right. And we're back.
Was that a good piss?
It's fantastic. It was euphoric almost.
Well, now that Ross is gone, we'll get into the goofy stuff where I want to ask you some quick takes and shop hacks.
Nice.
what shirt has your shop printed that you were the most proud of so far?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, we've done some pretty high level, pretty cool stuff. I'd say the one that I show to customers the most is it's an 8-color sim process that we did for a local death metal band. Nobody believes that we screen printed this shirt. Everybody thinks it's DTG. Like literally no. Even some screen printers would come in there like looking at it like real close because we used like it wasn't crazy. It was an average sim process like 65 LPI, whatever. Just the artwork, whatever. Like it's got some tight halftone work on there. And
sometimes there's just some cool artwork that clicks.
This was one of those.
It just really does that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just came out absolute perfection. So anytime someone comes to us, like a new customer, they're asking about screen printing and, what we can do. And biggest thing we get asked is like how it holds up and like, do our screen prints crack and whatever else. And I'll just like, I'll throw this shirt at them and be like, tell me.
You tell me, asshole.
They're like, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. You guys are good.
Perfect. That's awesome. If you could snap your fingers and change one major thing about your shop, what would it be?
The size currently.
Don't we all?
That's the big one. Yeah, pretty much all of us are wishing for that little bit extra. But size is killing us right now because like we were talking about with efficiency and things like that and dissecting processes, I just keep getting like cock slapped in the face with the size of my shop every day because we can't perfect these processes as far as I want to take them because we're limited to the shop size that I have. And we can only place things in there a certain way because it's literally the only way they fit. We've got like the perfect Tetris setup going on in there right now. We can't really move anything around more than a couple inches here and there. And that's the biggest hurdle right now. So getting into that new space, we're going to be able to like really refine our processes and, shave a lot of time and effort off of tasks. And it's going to be,
let me ask you realistically, and I know you're not going to have the right answer, but what do you think is a realistic timeline for that thing to be up and ready and built and you in there?
By the end of this year.
Because whatever you think it should be, I feel like it's like 5X. You know what I mean? Like shit happens.
Yeah, that's why I'm basing it off of my builders. I'm dealing with a couple of builders right now trying to like decide on who we're going with. And all of them are telling me, around like 6 months to 8 months to build this thing. So I'm gauging it as like, add another 2-3 months onto there. So by the end of this year, like when it's snow and winter time, which is a fantastic time to be moving equipment. But that's kind of the guess.
In the Great White North.
Yeah. It's when it's 30 below.
Nothing ever bad happens on things that freeze.
No, exactly. It's just nothing like moving, $1 million worth of equipment in the freezing cold.
Exactly. What are some pages on Instagram or other platforms, I guess, that you pull your inspiration from?
That's a good question. I'd say like YouTube is probably the biggest one where I get information from. I don't really like Instagram. I don't do a whole lot with. I mean, that's something I just quickly like flip through and don't really gain anything from. But YouTube, however, every morning I have like a ritual where I wake up every morning. I'm on the treadmill for like 15-20 minutes just to like walk and warm up for the day, get some little bit of exercise in before I hit the cold tub and freeze my ass off. That's where I get tons and tons and tons of inspiration and just like education and business advice from because I don't just watch random videos.
What are some of your go-tos?
I would say, well, Dan Martell's a big one. He's been like a favorite of mine lately. I've just read his book, Buy Back Your Time, which was super, super insightful for me. And his YouTube channel has given me a ton of value as well. I watch a lot of that stuff. I watch some stuff like when I feel like I need some inspiration, I watch like weird shit like, those like multi-million-dollar house tours sometimes because I'm just like, that's where I need to get right there. So it's like,
how do I get these lion statues?
Yeah. So stuff like that sometimes it's just weird. Like that has not really much value, but it just gives me that little push to like reminding me like why I'm grinding so hard, kind of the life I'm looking for type of thing. Yeah, man, just a lot of that kind of stuff.
We have very different YouTube algorithms, I feel like.
What do you got going on over there? Hot dog recipes and shit.
Yeah, like hot dog recipes. Honestly, there's a lot of food stuff. I went down a rabbit hole recently of like how to make the best ramen at home with instant ramen. And I've watched probably like 50 videos on like different people making ramen a different way, like adding things to it.
Mine is like the exact opposite. Mine's like fucking the video I watched this morning was, shedding body fat in your 40s kind of thing.
No, so I'm like, how do I
eat? The gym every day.
I'm like, nope. What is the best crock pot meal that's going to make me feel like a potato? Like that's what I'm looking for. Like, what can I do there? I mean, I watch a lot of that. I do watch a lot of like science stuff. Like, I love videos that blow my mind with science stuff. Like, oh, did you know this thing or whatever? And it's like, I'll watch deep stuff like that. I watch a lot of conspiracy videos.
Oh yeah, no, you get me
I watch a
started
lot
on
of live, like bands playing live is like one thing I really love doing on there. Like Audio Tree Live and stuff like that, where it's like a band will come in and they'll play their whole set. Like there's no audience. It's just like a live recording of everything. Yeah, I mean, I do watch screen printing stuff. Like the thing is that's funny. And again, props to you is like, I crave so badly like good screen printing content. Like there's so many people out there that's like got a handy cam thing and they're like in their garage doing whatever. And like, that's fine. That's cool. But like your stuff is that plus almost like watching a network show of the goofballs that are there, what's happening, what a day in the life looks like this and this and this. So will you fucking make some more videos? What the hell is the holdup?
Yeah, we're getting back to it. I mean, the last couple months have been a crazy grind because business just like, it was one of those just hockey stick spikes happened out of nowhere where we just took on a ton of business. And I also took on like all this other stuff like fulfillment, you know. I took that on out of nowhere with zero knowledge on how to do it. And like, no one would really tell me how to do it either. I had a couple people reach out that I had some conversations with that gave me some awesome information that I really appreciate, but no one really gave me like the roadmap kind of thing. It doesn't exist yet.
Well,
so
the funny thing is before you, like, again, in that vein of it's screen printing, but it's also kind of like, I don't want to say trash TV, but it's like that shit that you crave that you know about. You know what I mean? There's like people who bake that watch like the Great British Bake Off or something. And to them, it's like, I know this enough to make this relevant. And like, it excites me. That's where I see like you and like Cam when he did like the print life videos. But he was just so ambitious where he was like, I'm going to make a video every day. And I'm like,
yeah, it's not sustainable.
That cannot work, dude. You have to have off days where you're like, I don't want to make a video today. Like, if you were like, I'm doing one a month, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. But I just want more of that where I'm like, oh, cool. I'm learning something. So like, I watch a lot of like Ryanette videos and I'll watch like stuff from you and I'll watch like, I mean, there's a ton of stuff on there.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff is sweet. And we're going to get back to that now. Like I bit off a lot more than I could chew a while back. So I just kind of hit the brakes on the videos for a while. And I noticed too, like with the new form of content that we were making, it wasn't hitting like the old stuff was.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't getting the views we weren't getting the engagement. The people didn't seem to be as into it. And so I've pulled back, of course, because like, fuck, I got to fix this and get back to where I was. And I think it's because YouTube has changed. And I noticed it myself, like how I was just talking earlier, like I wake up every morning and it's like educational content I need some kind of value to start my day every day.
Right.
And I noticed with that stuff, it was more, like trashy TV, just reality show of a print shop kind of thing. And there wasn't a ton of value being added. And I feel like that's where the views kind of got lost a little bit was because of that. So I want to get back to just like straight high value stuff, how it used to be, putting myself back in the process. So like I'm hiring people so that I can take over the videos again, because I had another guy doing it for the last year. Mm-hmm. And me being removed from that process, I feel like we lost some stuff too, like not so much like the video quality and whatever, but more of the storytelling.
Well, there's a little bit of soul involved. You know what I mean? Like
it kind of went away a little bit, I feel like. And just, so I want to take that back.
That's how I feel about
myself
Instagram.
Back in front and center. So, and I think that's where we're talking about, like where Ross was saying, putting yourself in a position where you add the most value to the company kind of thing. And that's an area where obviously only I can add the value to. So I was like, I need to get myself out of all these other little things, get that little chunk of time carved out every week or every month, whatever it is, to where I can do this myself again, because that stuff, believe it or not, adds a ton of value to my business. It brings customers in the door. It brings sponsorships and partnerships with companies that helps us grow and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely an important aspect of the business that I need to put some more focus back into. So we're getting there. I got like 3 videos shot sitting on my computer right now. I just got to start editing. We're going to start rolling some stuff out here over the next little while.
I like it. As long as I'm seeing more videos, I'm fine with it.
The two
I don't
of
care
them
what's happening in your life, Lee. Just fucking make them and shut up.
We're going to shock some people because the first 2 of the 3 are DTF videos.
Oh, there you go. Right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm ready for the fucking comment backlash on that.
All right. Would you rather be a baby and never grow up or be born an adult and never grow old?
Oh, shit. Well, it's obviously the adult. and never grow old? Like, but how much intelligence do I have as the adult? Am I born with baby intelligence? Or
the
am
funny
I born,
thing
like,
is,
am I baby with super intelligence, like adult intelligence, and I'm just this little tiny baby running around?
like boss baby, like
yeah.
The funny thing is, Christina sent me this thing that was like a bunch of these would you rathers, and I was like, I gotta start adding some of these. And I saw this one, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw this one in there. I would almost rather be. Would you rather be like 12? Where like you have no responsibilities, you don't pay any bills, you're just fucking riding your bike and like fucking around. Like, would you rather be 12 for forever, or would you rather be like 50 forever? Like, I would rather be like 12.
I don't know. It depends, I guess. Like, there's so many factors. This is where, again, my super analytical brain just kicks in because I'm like factoring in everything that could possibly come up. So like at 50 years old, how successful was I in life? Am I like the 50-year-old with fucking, hurts. I got a fucking Lamborghini and a 20-year-old girlfriend? Like, yeah, I want to be that for the rest of my life. That'd be fucking awesome. But if I'm just like blue collar 50-year-old guy, fuck no, I want to be 12 years old, jumping my bike over fucking puddles for the rest of my life. That'd be way better. So it's kind of a toss up.
All right. that answers the question, I guess. It's how much money do you have? Are you a kid in the slums, or are you a kid that's got your shit together? Are you the kid from Blank Check?
That 50-year-old guy with the Tommy Bahama shirt and the fucking Lamborghini and the model girlfriend, whatever. I don't think his life's too bad. I don't think he's really upset about too much.
He hates his life. Yeah. That's the truth. The guy with the Lambo and the young girlfriend has not got it figured out, because that young girlfriend is not into him, and she's making his life miserable. That's the reality.
He's fine with it.
And that Lambo does not get what it needs. He's not opening that shit up either. He's driving that to like fucking to Costco.
I don't know, maybe, man. You ever seen that documentary, Gentleman Driver? All those like rich dudes. So like with Le Mans, the 24-hour Le Mans, every team on there has to have an amateur driver. That's the rules. So they have 2 pros, 1 amateur. And a lot of teams, they end up they sell those seats most of the time. So they sell them to super rich old guy entrepreneurs. So like the guy that owns like Patron is one of the guys that does this. And
the
like
amateur driver.
Yeah. So these guys like race, are these old fucking super rich multimillionaire billionaire dudes that will sponsor these teams, buy that seat for millions of dollars. They'll race like a fucking professional level prototype race car that's faster than an F1 car, fucking sick as hell, do like all this amazing stuff. They'll race cars all season. And they're just a bunch of, 50 something year old dudes that just have a ton of money and they want to have some fun. I mean, that sounds pretty awesome to me.
Or you could be 12 and have hot pockets and jump your bike over mud puddles,
eating fucking pizza rolls and jumping bikes and playing, Super Mario and stuff.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. They both have perks, I guess. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. It was sweet having you as a guest host. I love watching your stuff and just seeing you grow. And I love that we both just talk shit and don't care. And, it's fun. It's fun to be that guy once in a while.
It is. It's what it's all about. And it's fun to be on this thing again. And
hell yeah.
Fun to be on the other side of one for once. That's a big difference.
I know. I get asked once in a while to be on other people's podcasts, and it's like such a sigh of relief to not have to be in charge or have your brain running the entire time of like, what's my next question?
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to just be like, ask me shit. Like, just tell me what you want to know and I'll answer you.
This was interesting for me because I felt like I just had like a rapid fire bunch of questions just popping up in my head. And I was like, oh, this is...
Isn't it a brain drain? Doesn't it make you feel tired?
No, I was excited. I was like, I wanted to sit here for another 4 hours and ask a bunch of questions. I was like making a list. I already had a list of like 20 things before I started.
2 pages right now of stuff that we were going over.
Yeah, well, no, I came prepared with like a Google Doc and everything.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah. Well, I'll have you on again if you want to do it sometime, dude.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Anytime.